Welcome back, friends, to the studio. We're kicking things off for Stream B, and you saw Invitational winners NIP with Julio, who's back in competition here with W7M at SI23. You'll be seeing them performing later on in our day of competition here in the playoffs. These teams, they're just playing for the big trophy. If you're here for anything that is not that, you're doing it wrong. And welcome back to the desk. I'm Milos. With me are Demo and Exor Troika to help us out with our second game. First up, gentlemen, I just want to welcome you. Hello, how are you doing today? Well rested?
Thank you for the welcome, Milos.
I am a bit tired today. It's been a long week. It's been a lot of Siege.
It's true. I agree. But it's been good Siege.
There's plenty more Siege to keep us going as well. Here's the thing, Milos. It's funny because we have a day off and we get tired.
Yep.
But as soon as the Siege comes back, that's when the energy comes back.
I completely agree with you because it's almost like we will live and breathe this game and have been for many years. Now, G2 versus Wolves, two teams that we're all so familiar with here. G2 got the pick. They picked the team that they wanted to play against, and they picked the Wolves. Now, before we get into specific teams, what's the strategy behind picking Wolves in this case?
They haven't looked great throughout the course of the competition. I think we all know that about Wolves, is that they haven't lived up to the expectations. They've struggled again inside of the best of threes. I would say that the confidence from Wolves beating Liquid is going to help them a lot. I think going into this game, you know, if they had lost to Liquid, then, I mean, they would have been fourth place. They wouldn't even had like another chance. Even if they do lose here today, they still get that other chance with that big win against Liquid. I think G2 are going to feel confident. It's a matchup that they know. It's players that they know. It's a play style that they're familiar with. I think G2, it's just a comfort pick more than anything.
It's better the devil you know, right? You know
Fair enough.
this opponent very well. They play inside of EUL regularly. I wrote this down as a blue on blue. You know, it's EU versus EU. We're expecting a bit of that to sort of come and show through. And G2 have made a very intentional decision here.
To be fair, the Sonics did the same thing with Dark Zero. We just mentioned it in our pre-show. It's understandable. It's an opponent you know, and probably these teams scrimmed against each other many a times before going into the Invitational. We're not even counting this. We're counting an entire year of competition. So how about we dig into one of our two squads? You know what? I'll leave it to production. You can pull up whoever you want because we're always ready for what is being given. I hope these two teams are also ready for their matchups. They should be, at least, over the next few minutes. We had interviews, demo. I hope those were fun, but let's talk about G2 since you're on it here. What do you think about G2 and the performance so far at SI?
G2 have adapted to the meta, I think, extremely well. I think the way that you need to play this game, you need to play fast, you need to play aggressive, you need to play on your toes. I don't think you can really go into Siege with this methodical play. I mean, that's, again, my personal opinion. I think the methodical Siege, where it's a step-by-step process, which is kind of what some of the NA teams are still doing at the moment, it doesn't work for me in my eyes. I think G2 have adapted that really well. You can see that they're not afraid to try things, just go for it. They are a team that is confident, and it's either you make the play or the play makes you. That's what you need to do.
It's true, and there's a reason that the three players at the top of the pops on G2 are plus 63 overall together combined.
Is Doki one of them?
Doki is one of them, believe it or not. Now, he got off to a bit of a flyer on day one. Benja had a slower start into things, but even he has since picked things up. I think, of course, those games against Space Station really helped out the stats a little bit.
Doki Fragature Club. Oh, man. That's very good. That was you.
Yeah.
Have you played the game? Nope. It scares me. I don't want to do that.
No, I think
I don't play him.
It's a good way to highlight Doki throughout the year. You know, we know how good he can be. I remember in stage one, you know, Doki was on fire inside of EUL, and then we've seen that kind of drop off a little bit. I don't know if the thing could change. You can see down there the most played attacker. That's we're going back in time with that one. But look at this tournament. He's playing really well. Averaging 11 kills a map is really good. And you think about it, if we're putting in, you know, Shaiko in context, I think Shaiko's on like 12 kills per map. So he's not far off Shaiko, who we know is incredible as well.
The Shaiko of Scotland.
It's not got quite the nicest ring to it that you could find, but Doki,
Highlander, we'll call it.
The Highlander,
yeah, that's maybe a good one, yeah.
But without a doubt, has had a fantastic tournament so far, and he's showing no signs of slowing down. Right, there's still a lot of time left for this G2 roster.
All right, well, Demo, you sat down and asked a few questions to G2. Let's see what they had to say.
So, group stage went pretty well. Our first game was against Koi, where we won 2-1. This was like a good game. I think we maybe underestimated their maps a little bit, but it's okay. We got the 3 points and a win's a win. The next game was against W7M where we lost 2-1. And this game was like a little bit frustrating because we probably should have won 2-0. I just personally let the team down on the second map, Kafe. And then the third map was just so close, like anyone could have won this. So going into the playoffs, we have picked Wolves, our European brothers. The reason we picked Wolves, I don't know, we're comfortable with them, we know how they play, and we think we're just a better team than them, so there was no real struggle there. So overall, a good group stage. So going into the playoffs, we have picked Wolves, our European brothers. The reason we picked Wolves, I don't know, we're comfortable with them, we know how they play, we think we're just better team than them. So as a team, I think we want to improve on overall consistency, to be honest. Like, there's some maps that you've probably seen in our group stage that we were really nervous to play in. As a team, we weren't like communicating to the best way we could. I've said to the guys already, like, throw all these nerves out the window, play like we train. The biggest threat in playoffs, like, I think the obvious one is M&M, because they've been playing so good in their group stage. Our preparation will stay the same. It's not going to be any different, no. It'll just be the same. I think, guys, everyone ruled G2 out, and right now we are proving not to rule us out, so we're coming for that. We're coming for the hammer.
The Highlander Samurai has spoken. Who would have thought? Cleaving through their opponents, as we saw in the group. Can they do it today against Wolves, a team that they are very, very well known for playing against and playing pretty well against over the past few years. Current iteration with Benja is something else, though, Exertrica. What do you think?
I think Benja's finding himself in this roster slowly but surely. As I mentioned earlier, he got off to a bit of a slow start inside of the group stage and has since picked things up quite substantially. Something else that you've got to remember is that if you've got Doki and Almar going out there and getting a ton of kills, there aren't always that many kills to go and get. And if it's someone like Benja, that's what we're looking for him to do, be that impact player and have that ability to make those quick mid-round decisions.
Now, if we're looking at G2's opponents, Wolves, they said that they are very comfortable, or at least G2, they're very comfortable against Wolves, that they say they are the weaker opponent. They're more prepared against them because they played so much against them. But Ollie, I have to say, it seems like this year for Wolves has caught up to them, but they still made it out of the group.
They made it out of the group. They made it out of the group in third place by the skin of their teeth, though. Yep. Maximum overtime, 1 versus 2 clutch. It was very, very close indeed. Nobody on Wolves is really setting the world on fire. There is only Mowgli currently that is positive in kills, and he's positive by 1. Yeah. So already that's a bit of an alarm bell. You look at the form that G2 are on, you look at the form that Wolves are on, just stats-wise, and I know that we always like to talk about the stats, but everything goes a bit deeper than it. But it's always a good indication. Not a lot of gunfights getting won on the side of Wolves.
I'm in agreement, of course. I think Wolves, the consistency just isn't there. Obviously, you would expect Mowgli. I think Mowgli in his own right is a quality player that we have inside of EU. You know, Ollie, me and you, we know the potential this guy had way back in CL back in the day, and, you know, it's been great to see him really, you know, step up to a professional team. But everyone else, they need to get stuck in here and help him.
So what did Wolves say in their interview? We'll hear in just a sec.
I think we started super slow and we ended at third place, which is a great spot for us considering the 2 first games. I think we started to play and it really shows and it feels good as well. Our first game for stage 2 is against G2, which is an European S team as well. We know a lot each other. We've been screaming a lot each other. Our expectations are quite high because we know we can beat them. I believe it's like probably the best pick for us. What we can improve for stage 2 games, if we can play our game and, well, keep calm, we can win every round. I think the biggest threat for us might be, because it's a French team as well, I think it would be BDS. We don't want to face this team in particular before being late in the tournament. So the plan that we have for stage 2, it's basically preparing our games the most we can and come up with new ideas at that moment. So I've got a message for the other teams we're gonna face in stage 2. We finally started playing, so be ready because we'll be a fierce opponent for you guys.
Maybe it was a 16-wheeler diesel truck start for Wolves, but they got it chugging there at the end, and now they are in the playoffs. We'll go directly into our map ban phase. This is again a 9-map pool in competitive Rainbow Six, 4 map bans, and then we start with our picks. Wolves going for Chalet, they start on the attacking side. G2 for Kafe, they start on defense, and finally our decider is Bank. G2 banning Villa to take us there. Demo, your thoughts on the pick and ban?
Well, the 2 maps that we're going to go to first is generally the maps that, whenever both these teams have played against each other this year, it's the maps that usually get banned last. So it's not like the insta bans that you would expect to see from either side, and that's kind of where we're at now. Is with maps that we're not really familiar seeing both of these going up against each other on, Ollie.
Yeah, I think G2 have. Would it be like sort of unusual to say that G2 have won a map ban? Because I know that we like to give Fabian a little bit
Can we give Titan some respect, please?
Well, we maybe throw Titan in there as well. We like to give Fabian a bit of stick for, you know, maybe not always coming out of
that
things
theme park that they played.
Yeah,
the theme park they played against them on the stage was, he didn't plan that, so.
But Chalet is a top preference map here for G2. It's actually their favourite map. So that's quite surprising to see that be a Wolves pick in there. The Kafe pick as well, it's still a reasonable preference for G2. It's not so high up there really on the side of Wolves either. It's only really liked. So you really looked at that 3rd map and the final map, the decider and the bank, and I think that that's a map that, again, it's a good map that we see Wolves play. It's one of those maps where they can lose a lot of time on that attack. But the first 2 maps, for me, it's got G2 written all over it.
Well, let's see. Maybe it'll be a 2-0. Maybe we'll go to our 3rd one. We'll have to see in game. Thank you, Extra Troika and Demo. Our casters are ready. It's looking hap. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos and the gang. Yes, we are here to EU to take 2 EU through to maybe the next round, maybe the lower bracket. That's hap, I think.
Well, one is going to go to the lower bracket. This will get way too complicated there in just a couple of seconds. But yeah, it is going to be 2 seeds up against the 3 seeds for the first couple of games here today. G2 picked Wolves. There is quite a bit of history between these two, of course, as they are in the same regional league. But there's also a little bit more behind the scenes because, you know, these two have been using each other as a preparation partner. Yeah, that's the awoo coming right through.
The awoo of Wolves. I mean, it's always this thing when you sort of have 2 same region teams, 2 similar region teams hitting each other in a best of 3. We've obviously had best of 3s of these teams in groups. By the nature of the shape of the groups and the teams that we've got, there was always going to be some inter-region play, and, well, how they've sort of shaped up in that, how they're going to shape up in that on this stage, because there is a little bit more tension now that things mean immediacy.
Yeah, for sure. It's starting to become a true deal of being knocked out sooner rather than later if you're not paying attention to it. Now, that won't happen today. Today, none of the teams are going to be sent home. Tomorrow is where the lower bracket runs will start happening. But whoever loses this game is going to be finding themselves in immediate danger on the first game tomorrow. So, truly, they need to be a bit careful here on either side. And just to go back to that point, talking about these 2 teams that use each other as a preparative partner for the 6 Invitational. They have scrimmed each other a whole lot of times.
How many times?
A total of 15 maps, I was told, by both G2 and Wolves. So, you know, that they are all very well aware of the opponent's playstyle. And this was just after Citizen left on the side of G2, so, you know, they needed to quickly get into a rhythm. And back then, the numbers seemed to be favoring G2. So G2, very confident that they can take on Wolves.
Wow. As you might all hear, the ominous sound of a lovely ski trip, and that is a pole. Maybe it is deserved. Chalet. Well, you're going to see Wolves fight on it, and we might see Doki do some Doki things on it as well. If you are joining us at that sort of pace, he has been having a huge tournament. He's been the MVP, I believe, 3 times. He's joint as one of those players has been the MVP the most of the play days that we've had. Fair respect. It's fair. Iana ban. Gone.
Just getting rid of that Yana, indeed. And answering the question instantly.
There's going to be a lot of yelling, as has been pointed out by our wonderful observer medics.
It wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's two teams that know each other. We know G2 is a very, very audible roster.
How Doki will play. What Doki will play. No one asks why Doki will.
Yeah, why Doki will play. Valkyrie pretty default ban, and then we have one left. Probably Izami or Mira, you know, Solace maybe even. There you go, Solace, the last one out of the three. The newest operator that has been added to the roster is off the board.
Solus is really good for this map as well. You think of all the places you can hide drones. You think of all the places along the beams, in the plants. This is a nightmare for drone-based intel.
Benja is a copper confirmed.
Oh.
Oh, just quickly swapped off. Never mind.
Alamau is playing his grind.
Yeah, he's playing his grind. He's doing his best cosplay right here.
Yep.
Early on. As we're headed towards the kitchen, we're headed towards that first floor. Top floor control is going to be important here around the bedroom and the office. It's often where we see attackers try and take some control as well with both verticality in terms of, you know, opening up the floor to relocate those defenders, but as well as opening up some long lines of sight so defenders do not have the opportunity to use verticality against you. A dining plant is normally what teams would go for here, and that takes you to the lobby, takes you to open up the walls, get the fireplace under control, etc., etc. But without that prefaced here, we'll see how it plays out. As G2 has set themselves up, seeing quite a bit of a mix of traps going through in terms of the entry denial devices, the goo, poison mines, and that's a spawn peak already on 2 guys. It's a good start for G2.
Well, that's a way that we get things moving, I suppose. It's a bit of a start in the fight where you're kind of expecting that. Doki wanted to come out of this swinging, and Wolves haven't really had too much fate behind the fangs throughout this tournament at this moment in time. They've struggled in the gun game, really, more than anything. Let's see if they can try and match the pace. They said they have improved. They have. But they've only just eked on by through into this. The pressure from the grenades. Bounced and tucked in. It's close over the top of Virtue's there. Deliver the stop to P4. There's a spray onto the side of Virtue. Shinka goes down against Blur in the meantime. And that leaves us in a 2 versus 4. You assume Virtue's a bit too close to the fire to get back up. But can they secure him?
Mowgli should be able to go for that kill now. Takes down Frostman as well, so he doesn't accidentally step into it later in the middle of a gunfight. Brings it to a 2-on-4 situation. A very quick round start here. 20 seconds in, the first kill already on the board. G2 here to play, here to basically try and, you know, get into Wolves their heads as quickly as they possibly can. Of course, mentioned these two teams know each other through and through. Mowgli almost losing his life right there. Has to strafe back by. Takes a little bit of damage. G2 just staying patiently right now, because sometimes the best thing to do is just to do nothing. Is Mowgli about to get into another gunfight?
Don't follow.
There it is, caught out by Doki on the swing round, and that leaves a lot of time to think here for Bibu, and, well, it's a bit of a false start. You're on Chalet, you knew it was going to be a high-paced game, you knew that the pressure was going to be hot from what G2's delivered, and you've come in a little bit cool, a little bit too cautious, I think, of, well, even what they might be bringing.
Flashbangs out, Bibu. Wall banged. Benji will take him down. It's 1-0 for G2. Great first start. Basically from the first minute onward, no real pressure anymore coming down towards G2. Due to, of course, that quick initial pace. Now we have a tech issue that needs to be resolved. So that brings us to a technical timeout, but it's also an opportunity for Wolves to quickly discuss what exactly just fell apart there so quickly, because they had an idea, they wanted to go for a take.
Yeah, everyone often does want to go for a take.
Through Solarium, and then they got picked apart, like, so quickly. Just by swings. Not being ready, not having the guns up.
For context of how close it was to Wolves not being here, the difference can be in some regards, in some ways, and from some lights, only a difference of about 3 rounds, in that they escaped the group on 4 points.
Yeah.
They beat Direwolves 2 OTs, so 2 games went 8-6. If those had gone the other way to Direwolves, Wolves would have been out, Direwolves would have been through. It's the difference of that. It's so minor, and you think about the comparison of what Wolves should be, and that's the thing. Although they're saying they got better and better and better, there's been that little missed moment where we haven't had a full fight from them.
The thing is as well, like, we haven't seen Wolves win a best of 3 in ages. And,
Yeah.
you know, and they came in now, they struggled in those first 2 games, managed to get a little bit of a break and then find themselves 2 best of 3 wins. That is going to be good for the mental. It's going to be building them up slightly here. At least give them the idea like, hey, we can beat these teams. We can get across with them as well. But that, of course, does mean that they need to continue that now or in the lower bracket if they don't do it quickly. Blur is looking to go for a bit of a cheap kill potentially coming through if they do rotate up onto the balcony.
It seems like they're paying a little bit more heed, a little bit more of a lockdown on the danger. Mowgli's got himself close in the small box at the bottom of the stairs, ready for the swing. The pings are there, and the pre-fire gets the connection. Mowgli gets the full read onto Doki. Benja, he's also being watched. This is what I talked about, drones being just so devastating on this map. There's so many little places to hide them and get these cheeky bits of knowledge, rotation and an intel. Benja, he's cautious about making the dive across the top. He's still holding onto the top of blue for now with Blur. Kind of confident. We saw him move off to offer something else towards the swing of the guns, but otherwise, you find Wolves once again trying to find some control. There's Virtue caught under.
Very sloppy so far from G2. Those 2 players lost on the back of a drone and a quick swing. Benja escaping with his life, and he might not even have been fully aware of it. As another member of G2 falls. P4 does go quite low. Benja himself as well. Mowgli gets injured. Blur, 1v4 situation. Needs to ace clutch this if he wants to stay in it. Doesn't get very far. Right takes him down over his shoulder from the fireplace side. And that brings us to 1-1. Allows Wolves to instantly just fight back, because that first round, Wolves was basically nowhere to be seen. They entered the building, but that was about it. And this second round, they were catching G2 off guard. Like, they were rotating around sloppily on G2's side. They punished them for it, and they do muscle that through into a round victory. So if this is how this continues to be, and if both these teams step up towards their winning round performances, this is going to be a good game.
You want it to be. Okay, we're biased. We're both EU casters. We have followed these teams for a long time. We've followed these players for even longer. It's that sort of thing of you want to see the teams be successful, but also you have to see where they were before they came into this. As I said, you can only really sort of highlight the context of the performance, where they've been able to deliver the games, where they've been able to deliver the matches. If this was an inter-seasonal conflict, Wolves generally been better. Wolves been terrifying, but as you said, it's not. It's a best of 3. It's this different environment where G2 performs better on LAN, and Wolves have a sad habit of not.
Yeah, so stage 3, just to lean back into that, 6-8 in favor of Wolves. Stage 2, 7-5 for Wolves. Stage 3 was a 7-5 for G2 though. So overall, Wolves is having the head-to-head record kind of going their way. But it is that G2 just has become a different beast as soon as the 6th Invitational started, as soon as Benja got added to the roster. Quick opening made into the snowmobile garage will allow them to, you know, just not worry about that for the remainder of the round. They can revisit that if they want to use it for an eventual take, but the rest of Wolves seem to be taking control off top first. Get rid of those roamers. Get rid of the individual players that could provide an issue later on if you do go for an approach. And that's exactly what they do. Mowgli takes down LMAO as the first kill of the round.
Mowgli, the only one from the Wolves team that come into the day with a positive KD. He's going to see if he can try and keep pushing that. And he's against a lot of competent gunners, so you need him to be firing at his sharpest. Bit of a dip dive around there. The rotate comes away from Benja. He's able to win the fight on the window. P4 caught. Not quite able to get the catch he wanted, and instead he's able to slide his way, not all the way back to home plate, but he's definitely made at least second, and he's eyeing up third.
Verticality soon to be coming through, possibly. Top floor is still being cleared out. Drones are coming through as well. Default cam still up, so G2 is aware of the progress that Wolves is making. The trade that Benja made is going to be of great help, as Doki falling back on the staircase, I believe, due to a double drone in. Mowgli's going to try and go for the chase there. Barbed wire will slow him down, however. Doki looking to lean in back into the fight straight away, but he's not quite sure where Mowgli went, so doesn't want to be overextending himself to 2 or 3 different angles, because that is probably not going to be boding too well for him.
A bit of a pause, a bit of a patience, and a bit of Wolves trying to get themselves set up for some ideas. As we said on the previous round, they were able to hold these big rotates, get a couple of punchy kills from it, and then force it. But this is probably why we've seen this side be pulled here from G2. You can't really do that same man of the C4. Caught in the blind. Doki gets Mowgli. Still stuck. Bibu has the air jabs utility and some support. The swing comes. There's the push. Doki gets one more out of it. And the first, okay, you don't see the C4 if everybody's blind, but the second really shouldn't have been his to take. And now the 3 versus 2 on the site. They're pushing down blue. There's some pressure on the main stairs. They've got the catch there on the close corner fight with Virtue. BB wants to swing it, and there it is. A great take. The second, he finds it as well. Blur does get Shinka, puts them into the 1 versus 1. Bibu on the back end of the pop mirror window, playing a bit of ring around the roses, around the wine. But who's been able to get the final drink of each other? Blur, he's behind you, and he just slips away.
Operators, you are out of time.
Wasn't quite sure where he was being chased from up until that last moment. Ran through towards safety. The time ran out and the clutch is there. But they almost brought that back on Wolves. First of all, Doki going that aggressive. He gets flashbang and he's like, if I stay here, I'm dead. So what's the best next thing I can do? Just run at them with the shotgun and hope for the best that I can pick up at least 1, maybe even 2 before I fall. Did that well, changed around, because suddenly you lose 2 players from that blue stairs approach, and, well, there's only 1 left. Not for lack of trying, though. Mowgli picking up those 2 beautiful kills, basically turned it back into a 1v1. But not enough to keep Wolves into that round and make sure they land it.
I mean, if you need a player to shine, Bibu's a good name. He is sort of an effigy for the team. He started the tournament quite slow. They couldn't quite get the pace, but you think of how many stages he's played on, you think of how many places he's been able to put a performance in when he was one of the big young gunners, when he was one of those big players many moons ago. And the growth now is the possibility here, but G2, they econ by, and Blur actually has one of the best survival rates of any player in the whole tournament coming into this. He has a habit of surviving, and that's pretty good to have on your backline support player.
You need to have someone that does it, right?
You need to have someone who lives.
Especially considering time is on your side. Oh, we might just either find first or get found here. About to be swinging around the corner. That's Blur. Oh, yeah, it's Blur. Yeah, the trait comes through. Somehow actually still hit his head.
Yeah, that is very
confused. It's like,
that was very confusing. Yeah, gets the catch, gets the down. But obviously one of those things that's tricky to call. Alamau, he's moving closer, but BB will get this generally uncontested. It's a gamble to sort of double down. P4's on the close window, so Doki was actually underneath it even. So yep, Doki's not going to be able to get the rotate as he would like to. BB's holding off though, expecting a bit of motion. So Shinka is coming around on a huge rotate as well. G2 though isn't putting pressure onto it. They know they're in this sort of 5 versus 3 situation. They might be not knew that Mowgli was down.
No, they definitely weren't aware, and otherwise you don't really want to send another person out when that balcony is already taken under full control. And that brings us to a 3-on-5. Yes, there is some damage done to Wolves, but that is not going to be the main worry for G2. It's the amount of guns that are still up and running. Now, Doki's still on a bit of a roam. He's not on the site. There's an opportunity to come back, but I believe he was thinking about, you know, holding down anybody that came from the south, but Wolves have recognized this and have decided to go from north. They have decided to go for the repels and the windows that they could use. And C4 comes out, won't find anybody. Alamau actually spotted out ahead there, but again, no way to connect.
All the damage and destruction's coming underneath. That grenade was pitch perfect. Alamau pulled out of the room and forced off the fight. Virtue trying to do everything in his power to hold on. There's a bit of a swing underneath, and that's actually the diffuser drop by P4. They have a minute. They have a lot of pressure. They have another body, and they have a lot of control. Doki, he stepped his way back in to offer some support here. The flashes over the top. They've got to pull and peel themselves back. Mowgli, there's one more. There's Doki in a firing line, and Wolves, they keep us level.
Good double entry coming in there from Wolves. They really were able to leverage their man advantage in the end there. And that grenade perfectly tossed as well. Basically, Alamau just temporarily, eventually, permanently out of that rotation and just start sending bodies in. That's what you do. Like, you start walking up the stairs, you start rappelling into the windows. Not much you can do against it. 2-2. And for those of you wondering, like, if we are going to be seeing many more rounds that are closed down to like the last 10 seconds, the average round time between these two, historically speaking, has been 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
That's quite a lot.
That's quite a lot. That's 20 seconds left on the clock. Diffuser in hand.
Oh no!
I did it.
Oh no! Oh no!
And the median round timer has been 2 minutes and 52. Median, bit of a different stat, but that just means like if you put all the round timers next to each other and you grab the middle one of that, that's 2 minutes 52. So there's a lot of rounds that do go a lot longer than 2:37.
5 seconds to go.
Just a couple of rush rounds that bring down the average. Let's put it like that.
Attacker's objective is
These aren't rush rounds from Wolves. They're on attack, they're on Chalet, and what they're doing so far is actually sort of letting G2 throw themselves into engagements. There is a couple of swing-ins. You are having Mowgli step in as the entry, you are having these altercations happen, but they're holding flanks more than anything. They're making sure that there's multiple Wolves guns for a single G2 sports player because they know G2 is getting a little bit angsty. They like to move, they like to play with this space. There's a reason a lot of them are doing very well in the kill game is because a lot of them are trying to find people to kill.
When I was speaking to Helby this morning, he said that during all those scrims, they started playing a bit more like the traditional or the old Brazilian style siege, which is that, you know, people like to rotate around, people like to be in every single position as B4 runs through. Alamau and Virtue pick up one. That was a rush attempt that gone wrong quickly and steadily. Mowgli hoped to find a reply, but he gets found himself before Virtue drops. 2-on-4 situation now in favor of G2, looking to put back themselves on top.
Yeah, just after we talked about how Wolves had won those rounds by the control and the
Sitting
space,
still.
they tried something else. It's a different style of push, and it hasn't worked here. G2, they're very happy to sort of throw themselves into this. They're kind of eager, if anything, to spread out the kill game. Of only 14 players, of all 100 in this tournament, only 14 of them have broken over 100 kills. 2 of them are on G2.
That shows you the amount of pressure they've been able to deliver to their opponents. In terms of just gunners, you need to be careful of. Shinka on his drone will spot out one of those players, but you know, there's 1 minute and 5 seconds left on the clock. Wolves still pretty spread out. You have Shinka that now will be joining back with Bibu. He's going to try and make a unified push, but just to jump in from trophy window, I don't think that's going to be too successful here. So even though they're stacking up for it, are they? No, okay, they're splitting around.
They're changing up. I mean, there's 40 seconds. They have a drone at the top that's just been pinged out and caught, so they know if a rotate might come around from above them. They're going to go more towards West Main, it looks like, and try and pull something out. They have a ping on a player near a broken window, or where they think someone is, but Benja's actually touched on the other. Do they know? No. Benja able to pick up Bibu, and there's Blur with the last. Wolves.
Bro, I hit a nasty shot.
Oh. He,
Sure, yeah.
bleep, bleep, beep, 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 beep. He hit a nasty shot. That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
They breach early on. Yeah.
It's always nice to have these little insights on the player communications so they can see how exactly things are going well or are going wrong. Right back towards the wine cellar. Now, this is where we saw a very early kill coming through from Wolves. The player on the staircase by the drone, pre-fire coming in. There's also Doki that went for that nice little, you know, C4 whilst fully blind, then went for the shotgun fully blind, and managed to get 2 kills out of it.
I mean, it's a brave play, and it's one of the ones where, I mean, the second you feel like
shouldn't have happened.
That was the swing whilst everybody was blind and they got it. It was but it was timing, it was reactions, it was swinging with a shotgun from a close range. You've got to try and, you know, slow-mo it, bullet time, and get that popped off. And those, I think, were the paramount moments where Wolves are still missing that connectivity with the pace that can be offered here. A couple of them have had huge rounds. A couple of them haven't had any yet, and that's the sort of blow here from the side of Wolves.
Yeah, P4, most importantly, currently still on 0. So is Shinka. You know, he's playing on that hard support. P4 is usually on that lurking role. He opens up room for Wolves time and time again, but not throughout this game so far. It's not like everything is lost. I mean, Wolves is still very much in this game. They have 2 out of the 5 rounds played so far, and, you know, they might just pick up a 3rd now as well. But if those 2 start showing up as well, it just becomes so much easier for them as Mowgli in quickly, right behind his drones. Doki, though, has not been droned out, I believe. Falls back after he gives away his position, but otherwise that could have been a free kill coming through. Oh, the C4.
Oh, the C4 gets one of them, P4. Blown off the wall. Mowgli's able to fight back and at least get the revenge and the trade on the back of it, but still, you're looking at that unfortunate statistic. They've lost the twitch, they've lost some of the control. They might be able to try and drive down the traps underneath the razor blooms, the bandit wires. Once that's already removed, they'll stay standing for now.
Taking care of the Capcan traps, making sure no more explosive is going to be doing too much damage to these Wolves players. Criticality is being set up as well now, just so they can get rid of players on the actual snowmobile garage area of the map. Spots are coming through, drones are being taken down. G2's doing everything they need to do to slow down the approach of Wolves as much as they possibly can. That's a, what's that, a floorboard? No, that's from all the way across on the actual back of the kitchen as they wanted to go and knife to keep a barrier. It's Benja that takes down 2.
I mean, that gun, it shoots very, very straight, but Bibu and Shinka shoot straight back, trying to dabble their way into the door against the Frost, but they've moved off a minute on, and you've still got the site itself to protect in a 2 versus 2. You cannot risk losing it all in a long-range engagement. Engagement. It's a new one. You know what I mean.
Yep.
Against big guns in the engagement, and that's the sort of split is. They pull back, the wall gets breached, there's Kiba barricades to knock through, it's going to make a noise, it's going to draw attention, you know it's not quick, but it allows that. The little dabble, they pull themselves back, the flash, the cover, they're going to still see if they can try and maybe slip this plant down, but if there's a crossfire, you've got 3 different angles on this swing. You've got where the Azami is, potentially the box that BB's cleared off and forced them off, and then the further away position of the Frost that's rotating back round the drop, the smash the barricade. They're planning with the cover just tucked on the opposite end. Do they know? Oh, they know about one. There's the next.
Well done from G2 there, even though they brought it back to a 2-on-2 on Wolves' side. What they did was a bit of peekaboo kind of gameplay.
Let's go, guys. What happened?
Let's go, guys. What half?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. G2, they know what they need to do. They know how they need to deliver this game. You're on Chalet, and if you're leading in with your defenses 4-2, you're in a pretty good position. You've also got to consider some of the things that are working on the side of G2 and that are going to work for them throughout this. Most notably, the entry statistic, where, you know, Mowgli has been the entry pretty much continually throughout this tournament. He's double, roughly, whoever's next, which was P4, but P4's running at a minus, Mowgli's running at a positive. However, both Doki and Benja are over 30 on the entry in terms, and they're both being successful. It's, you know, it's dangerous on a map like Chalet, where it's how you get in is often a big leader.
Now, over the 3 times these have played before, the top-rated player of Wolves, historically speaking, has been Bibu with an average rating of 1.4 over those 3 games. And the top-rated player from G2 was Citizen, but he's of course gone. Doki's the next one, but he's behind Mowgli as well. So Mowgli and Bibu really were always like the shining stars in this game. And they're doing their best right now. I mean, both on 7 kills. It's just that the rest of the lineup is not really coming along just as much as they want to.
Yep.
Cam.
Think you got it. Obviously, Iana, Doki, targeted, so straight on the extended barrel commander. Or is it extended barrel? Probably.
Don't know if it is.
You assume.
I mean, headshots, right? That's what you aim for. You don't need an extended barrel for that. You need less recoil and a higher rate of fire. It's a bit 50-50 right now. Like, every attachment is being used, which is great to see, but it always leaves you wondering now, what is it they're running? Because it always used to be like a recoil
Unless it's
thing.
suppressor, that's quite quick to realize. Oh, talking of. Quick in, Doki gets one, Bibu gets one back. Okay, I talked about survival statistics before. For Doki being maybe the top-rated player in terms of putting people down, he also has a roughly 20% survival rate.
Yeah.
He does his job, he gets out the building, and now he's going to watch cams and hope they can follow the wake.
It's often though with entry fraggers, right? Like they get in, they get 1 kill, they might get 2, and possibly even 3, but then they'll die. So it's like they're not supposed to stay alive that long. They're just supposed to make something happen. That's 2 keeper bearers under control of Benja here. Drone is muted. People aware of the fact that someone is coming up those staircases.
Yeah, they've sort of set up this shield in quite an aggressive spot. There's an echo drone inside library that was getting a bit of a read on their approaching players, but look at that. As soon as they get the call of Alamau as well and pressure onto box, he pulls back. He knows it's 3 points of pressure. Benja finds Rise, though. As they go for the swing, there's a spray through the soft. Alamau's trying to get a connection here. He's concerned. He's being watched from behind. There's still scrappy back and forth, but now it becomes a breach, an opening, and an angle that they're going to see if they can try and hold on to on the back. Mowgli rebuilds the balcony door. Alamau stacked up. A moment of silence as we can start to hear some of the role of attention played against Piano.
40 seconds. 4v3, G2 needing to get that plan down soon. The one player at the piano is definitely going to be a big problem maker. Also, of course, the Azami that's playing from the bedroom, going aggressive right now towards Benja. Gets taken down. Mowgli finds that kill, or at least the DBNO, but that is, with this amount of time left, an effective 3-on-3.
Yeah, it's going to make it pretty much impossible to get them back up. They've got to go for something. They've got to go for it sharp, and from that point onwards, it's a direct line, but there's 2 buried. Blur gets 1 back, a 2 versus 2. We've seen this a lot. It's a 1 versus 1. I'm not quite sure how the maths works out, but now it's just the plant is down. Can you try and piece it pulled back? They swing, they pre-fire. They're wide, it's Blur!
That's my clutch king!
I mean, fair enough. He is not shied away from being the last man standing.
Fucking jumped in the back in the pussy.
And you got to give credit. That was a heck of a snap through the soft to his left there.
90-degree flick, just
casual.
Casually on point there. Finding the round, making sure they extend their lead and take their first attacking round for G2. Up to dining we go. That's where it all started off. As G2 chose this as their first defense. Now they will have to attack it. And now are they going to be going for that south to north approach that I was talking about, where you take the verticality, you open up the wall, you try and plant right behind the B-bomb chassis, or are they going to try and do the same thing Wolves did by going in from Solarium, trying to take control of the bathroom, the bedroom, and see if you can maybe go for a nice little drop into the kitchen, go for a plan that way? Those are the 2 options you really have.
There's a couple of cheeky little options.
There's a couple of cheeky options, yes.
In a cheeky little game.
Long angles being set up there, so no rotation you just saw on the office towards the bedroom, but long angles. So that probably tells me they're not really too keen on holding on to it, but they are keen on fighting whoever's on the other side of the wall.
G2, you assume if this next round falls into their favor, there'll be a bit of a conversation here for the side of Wolves. They've got their harder half ahead of them. They've got a lot of the pressure, a lot of the stress, and as they sort of highlighted and alluded to on the desk, this 1-2 is a very good punch for G2. These 2 maps that are set up as the showdown there, width as a pool, is something that has done them so many favors throughout this tournament, and unfortunately the opposite is said of Wolves. The breach onto box. Blur, man of the moment, and the last is going to be the first here. Breaches and breaks as Mowgli falls back to the shield.
Just falling back to that next position, they still have those long angles in the bedroom they can use to try and fight whoever's on the other side. However, as Solarium is being opened up, that means that they need to be careful inside of the bedroom as well, because Virtue can just fire down a couple rounds through. Everywhere is being tossed up right here to provide an extra layer of defense as the balcony outside is now being utilized as well as G2 walking on the front door, but P4 for a run out takes down Virtue, and that opens up the bedroom as an availability to be used again.
Alamau, he's creeping his way in and knocked right back out with Mogler, doubling it down onto Benja, and well, there's Doki trying to find something, but a flawless is where Mowgli was.
So what they need, Wolves, because they were starting to, you know, get behind a little bit too much. So just that flawless round, an extra bit of confidence coming right through because that defense, perfect. Stood well. Nothing G2 could do against it. They tried to just walk in and gun them down, but the crossfires were there.
Attackers need to locate.
So this is the problem with G2. And it's a very strange statement, but I think everybody's aware of this. Sometimes they can get a bit overconfident. I'm not going to say that's what that was, because obviously that was just an attempt at a strat. This is me not saying that's what we've seen, but it's the worry of what you might see is the more comfortable G2 get into an engagement, and G2 fans know this more than anybody, the more sometimes things start to get a little bit slippy, a little bit dicey. They can go from huge clutch plays, huge coordination at the beginning. Just think, what does Fabian see that he likes, and what does Fabian see that you imagine that irritates him?
10 seconds to insertion.
Sometimes the second category comes in when they're being more successful.
Something about, you know, throwing rounds that should be easy wins. Not that that one was any, because that was very tough.
This is me putting all of that on it, of saying it was a good defense from Wolves, and the attack wasn't that. You know, G2 was step by step. We saw the break on the top. We saw them, and then at the point when things started to fall apart, you just have to try and throw more at it, go for the trade, or you have to restructure your entire attack, which if you've already spent too much is not going to happen. Blur, he was just checking to see if the audio behind was of a mute jammer. It was, so no breaking through that wall.
Not yet, at least. There's definitely ways around it, of course, by getting a grenade through the drone hole, for example, or someone taking blue under control and taking it out afterwards. E4 don't go aggressive with a shot.
There's Rise behind as well. They've got them pinned. They don't quite have the full bite. Alamau holds off, and there's Doki getting one on the back end. People does find Alamau with the shotgun, so he's still in the territory, and they have a bit of a call and awareness onto that. Rise, though, living up to his name, coming up around the back stairs, getting the free take as Doki pushes onto P4, though, and it's really just Doki surrounded by his colleagues being killed and not quite sure who he has to kill to stop it.
Rice just dropped all the way down, so it's going to be very difficult to catch him off now. Remaining players of Wolves all around the site, or in the site rather, going to be holding on. 95 seconds, it's a long time to just wait, so they need to be a bit active. They cannot just let G2 get the ground they want. And that's mostly what Rise is, I believe, doing actively inside of Blue. He's making sure that Blue cannot really be progressed by just giving it a shoulder peek every now and then. And that way you keep them to, you know, the usual breaches here.
There's the angle opened up. The big door will fall and be opened up to allow snowmobiles in and out, but mainly people and potentially planters and angles. Importantly, it forces the defenders to have to play themselves too cautious. A slow creep down Blue as the braking starts to cacophony across the top around the players inside the site, and with 50 seconds they can sort of build behind it. Oh no! Poor timing for Doki there. Checked it, went back with a grenade, and Rise, a fantastic connection with the head of the gunner that's already done a couple of bodies this work. He's pulled it on the top floor, he's down in the basement. Benja and Blur have to double it back and see if they can try and get this kit planted.
2v3, 30 seconds. The diffuser is in Blur's hand. He can go through. Benja already did drop in the connector area. They need to try and clear out the player right behind the bins, but before Benja can access him, he just goes for it, gets that kill, but turns it into a 1v2. Blur, not able to reply. A camera is going to be given away. His position, 7 seconds, counting down. He's going to get swung on by Shinka, takes down that kill. And 5-4, one round away from evening things out.
I don't know what he said at first, but I know it was directed at Doki.
I know Doki doesn't speak French either, as far as I know, so he might not know.
Could have been Scottish.
Could have been. I don't.
Do we know if
Scottish,
Rise speaks Scottish?
I mean, he does speak English, so maybe he just practices his Scottish accent and.
Okay, Wolves, not quite over yet, and one of the reasons is you have to look at the people that are popping off right now. As he said, Bibu, he was often the highest rated between these two engagements. When these two teams hit heads, he is doing just that. Right now, you've had Rise step up massively into this game over the past couple of rounds. Mowgli was obviously the big fuel at the start to give them some of the fight that they had at the beginning. And to see the difference of these players from where they were to where they are now, it's almost like seeing the difference of these players in the league. Hey, remember when Rise went 0 to 12, was it? 0 to 11?
Yeah.
And then he came back the next play day and went like 12 to 1.
Yeah, so, you know, you have like either you go really badly or you have really strong Rise coming through right there.
Yeah, whatever the Belgian is for all or nothing.
Alles needs.
Well, he's the first bit of that. All, not the Venets.
No, it's off means or, and then needs is nothing. So.
Okay. He's all.
Yeah, he is all right now.
Hey, a Blackbeard in the pockets of Doki. Not the most common scene operator. But we'll see, in the words of our observer, let him cook.
Let him cook. See what he's baking. See what he comes up with here. Zalamal takes a lot of early damage. He's being chased. That's some yokai as well. I don't want to really get him there. Flashbang coming through. Mowgli looks back. Yeah, there he goes. Gets the kill anyway. Wolves end this. As Mowgli does go down, but another kill happened elsewhere.
Yeah.
Did that one shot just down P4?
I think he might have been slightly injured. Maybe already? There was a lot going on at that moment in time. There's Benja in a position to clean it up, and they at least get the two bodies back. But once again, we see G2 taken a bit by surprise by Wolves' approach. They're more than happy to lean in. Kind of put a bit of the pressure to the metal. Alamal's been caught 2 rounds in a row. You look at, you know, how much Rise has stepped up. Unfortunately, on the other side, Alamal has dropped off. He was one of the 2 players that came into this game with over 100 kills. And he's not going to leave with much more than that after the first map if it keeps on this way. Benja's caught as well. Blur and Virtue, the support structure of the backline, has to try and lean back into this. Maybe piece a single player off, go for a pinch. But the way Wolves have often shifted, they're all back towards the site now. One in the bathroom, one in the bedroom, one in the piano. They've got a 3-cover hold. How do you try and isolate?
And this is the dangerous scores if you scrim each other so often, and G2 seem to have been like superior in those scrims. They know they have so much footage to just go off of. As Rise goes aggressive, doesn't quite take down Virtue, drops down the hatch to keep himself alive. Blur goes for a jump in right into the frost mat, drops the diffuser in sight, leaves it only up to Virtue. And this could be a 50-second timeout leading into a tech timeout. And as Virtue's actually going to try and go for it, seems to be jumping in. Knows it isn't lost yet. Knows this is clutchable. Just needs to find the first.
Well, behind the shield, tucked in, and this is the really awkward thing about approaching this, as I said, with the 3 angles. Look at them all stacked up, ready and wanting to swing. 3 different places on the piano, the short wall, and why not a little bit wider as well? Wolves pull level.
I think a tactical timeout is coming in. I've written it down halfway through the last round already as a sort of prediction.
Well,
there it is.
yes.
Giving away early, that's when they don't know how to play as a team. So if we abuse our knowledge of how to play as a team, do the split positions, and then do things at the same time, it's going to be so much easier for you guys to beat these ones. They're not playing good. They're relying on individual performance.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's do it as a team, speed a little bit down, and then explode together.
Yeah.
All right, got it, boys?
Yeah, got it.
Let's do this. You know how to call this, Carl. You've been calling really well this entire game. The individual decisions, stop with the hero plays, and then you're all fine, because you've been doing really good with the calling.
Let's go.
That's not a Fabian I've ever heard before.
He's an old, mature Fabian.
It's not screaming.
I haven't actually bumped into him yet. I need to try and
I have,
track him
actually.
down. Obviously, an ex-colleague of ours.
Yes.
With this amazing stint on the desk. He came in like Mary Poppins. Taught us so much.
He came in, taught us a lot, bullied G2, and then
left.
Hey, tell us how to do it then. If you bully us this much.
He was like a house guest that was like, yo, I'm here for a bit. here's some cool
And he
stuff.
just didn't leave until he suddenly got.
Yeah, and then we woke up one day and our lives had forever been changed. And we tried reindeer meat
Yeah.
that he brought into set one day. It was actually surprisingly good.
Was surprisingly good,
And told us a lot about Sweden, how it's the best country in the world.
according to him.
Well, I mean, yeah, very convincing of some things. No, but it's good to hear. It's kind of the right conversation to hear as well. We sort of said it before that Wolves are fighting in this because those big players you need to pop off are popping off. There's no two ways about that. You're looking at Rise absolutely coming back into this tournament in this game alone. You're looking at Bibu, you know, he's had a little bit more of a sort of up and up and up and up, but getting to the peak, getting to the precipice of it here, it's perfect timing for Wolves and G2. They just need to sort of try and remember that, well, we can play this as the team game. They are losing people to these random locations, these spread out positions that Wolves is punishing them for.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I mentioned it as well, like Wolves, of course, they always struggled in their best of threes. Now they've won 2, they're starting to get a little bit of that confidence in them.
Yeah.
And they're playing against a team they've scrimmed over the 15 maps right before the 6th Invitational. That confidence is going to be even more skyrocketing right now because they know them through and through. They know these tricks, they know where they entered, they know how they like to play. And what do? You just stop it, you just get in the way of it. And that's exactly what they've been doing. Yes, those are individual picks. As Fabian mentioned, you can work around it.
Yeah.
But this is just fueling Wolves right now to basically get into it. This might have been like the best opponent for Wolves, just given their history as well, to start off the playoffs with.
It's the really strange thing about Wolves is the best opponent for them is someone that they know too well, but not BDS.
Yeah, as long as not BDS, and they know them well, they're going to be fine.
Because they're so fearless against people that they know, unless it's BDS, where this fear, this mental game just sort of falls away. But against teams like G2, M&M, Heroic, I think we'll generally see them perform better. There's Doki gone. Mowgli gets the lead in here. Rise and Virtue, I believe, have a bit of a scrap, and they suffer on the way out.
Razor Blooms have been doing quite a bit of damage right there as Alamau now sneaking up to Fireplace Staircase, hoping to find 1 or 2 players. I believe a drop might have come through already, but as a player prone, does he know? No, he does not!
Oh, no! Oh, no! There it is! And it's all sort of falling apart here on the back end of the blue stairs. It was a single lying down position, and he just could not piece together where he was suffering from. There's a bulletproof camera, I think, getting the full watch on them there. I'm not sure if Virtue's...
That's rolling down.
Yeah, he was concerned someone would swing on the back of it, and to be fair, they have been, so fair enough. Look at the time. How many seconds on the clock?
It's 20 seconds on the clock, diffusers in hand.
What are you going to do here? What would Pengu do? Well, he might not do that. Drop right into the waiting. More of the players underneath. There's 2 bodies either side. The last is on the jukebox, and Wolves...
On les baise! Allez là! Encore un! En fonction de Victor, comme ça. Let's go! I'm so much better than you, man! What you do? Toi, t'as la majorité, fat boy! Focus, on va où là? Go kitchen! Allez, les gars, on continue comme ça, c'est très bien là. Allez! Kitchen! Et en fait, les gars, ils ont envie de prendre 2. Quoi?
They're happy to go kitchen.
I think Bibi's got a bit of energy about him.
Yeah, I think so as well. Something about, I'm so much better than you. I don't know who's shouting at, but I mean, if you're looking at the stats,
I think
13
all of
kills,
them.
let's see, better than Blur, LML, Virtue, and Doki right now. So he's definitely doing better than a lot of them.
That's the sort of thing right now is Halamau's unfortunately been shut out of this map, of this engagement. He's really struggled to get his teeth into it. Doki and Benja, they're putting themselves in, and you think, well, what's currently missing from them? And that's it. That's the 3rd gun that's been popping off throughout this group. And, you know, it's the current shape of it. It was always going to sort of be the driving, where Virtue can fall back into that more sort of support and flex support roles, allow Benja and Doki to go off and do what they need with the support of Alamau. And it's just unfortunate this time round that they've met up with Wolves that are playing like Wolves. They're so ravenous for these engagements against them.
They're hungry. You can see it. They want to prove everybody wrong because everybody's like, should be such an easy game for G2 up against Wolves. They see that as well, but they are so passionate about this. They are getting back into that. They want to prove everybody wrong. And so far they're showing that this needs to be a very well fought victory for G2 if they want to take it on this map, if they even want to be taking the game, because Wolves currently are a strong team to go up against. Now, Wolves just holding tight. 2 minutes still left on the clock. Keeper barriers are being set up. G2, what are you going to do about it? Because you want to take that top floor control, otherwise you wouldn't be sending all these people up. But this is exactly what you did the last time around, and, you know, that's a flawless round you went up against at that point.
You have to give credit as well to how Wolves have brought back from this. It was a 5-2 deficit. They didn't take a timeout. They just trusted. Look, that first, you know, you're losing in a game, you go on to the other side and you lose the first round. That can be such a big mental breaker. And they were like, this is still part of the process. We can still rebuild from this. They come out with the flawless, and then they have been flawless ever since. And that is terrifying on the opposite end. P4, loose and underneath, down, waiting for maybe the rotate up the main stairs. Doki, he's expecting a fight over the top. You can see the rotates coming onto the back end of Virtue. They're sort of going for a pinch, but P4 might be the surprise factor. Look where the kid is. Look what Blur's doing. If he gets caught from behind, it can be devastating. Hot pressure over the top. The drone's given the lead into Benji. He doesn't quite get the snap. Mowgli suffers. Doki find Rise. And finally, G2, for the first time in a while, get to celebrate a proper entry statistic. BB is just going to tuck himself around. He doesn't want to be entirely caught out, but he doesn't want to entirely give the territory away yet. He's sort of still making a statement, and he knows there's danger on the rotate.
Keep taking a bit amount of damage as well. Just hit around the corner right now. Verticalities are being created with breaching charges. P4 hiding, hoping to not be spotted. Coming in from the back, hoping to go up. Alamau takes down one. That's going to be the reply potentially. This is quite a few shots, and that means Benja still lives. Aware now that Butcher back is going. It's a double take over the top coming through, but the plan can go down right now. They need to be quick on stopping this.
They're going for the intel. It's behind the chassis. He can't get the shot because Virtue's there. The camera doesn't do enough. Blur. Post-plant, they threw everything at the chance of a retake over the top, but they were a couple of short steps away from getting it locked in, and it would only have taken one bullet there from either of the two players to stop that. It's a swing on the door that takes us to OT, though.
Good coordination with Zapper. Really beautiful.
I killed them both, man. Fucking music.
Happy that they can go on, but the energy's not quite there yet compared to what we've seen from Wolves. They are focused. They know they need to win this map. They know they need to get back into it, and especially Alamau, of course. He's been calling well, as Fabian says. He's been making the right choices. It's just that he keeps on being picked up when he's alone, not really being able to put much on the board. He got a kill now, but you know, you want to see him do a little bit more here. But G2, they bring it to overtime, and that turns us into a best of 3 in rounds.
All right, we're down to a best of 3 in our best of 3, the first map. And it is, you know, it's still the threat that we're on to Kafe next. It's still the threat that this is far from over. Wolves, not that they need to win this. I'm not going to use that much imparted knowledge, you never really know, but they definitely want, it would be a lot better for them if they could. More so than obviously if G2 could. I think at this point there's no more points. There's no more 4 points, 3 points, 1 point. It is someone moves on, someone goes down.
That's it. It's just as simple right now. We scrap the whole point system. Either you live or you, well, get knocked down or get sent home. It's one of the 3 options, depending on where in the bracket you are. Doki going up, claim we're being set up below as well, near gaming. G2 looking to be taking the top floor into control quickly. That's a rotation, and Doki might be able to catch off. It is the lead back in from Mowgli, who gets that first kill. I'll be happy with that on the side of Wolves, who overall have been leading in the entry department. A total of 8 entry kills have gone their way so far in the 13 rounds that we've had an entry.
G2, once again, on a bit of a back foot here, and unfortunate, it's leading into Wolves still on a defensive tear through those 2 rounds that slipped away from them, but with how many were threaded together, I would still say that one is the break in momentum, it is not the stopper. Mowgli Sets himself around stock on the back end. The calls are coming through. They're just sort of tucked. Benja doesn't want to get swung from the opposite end because the drone, gives the idea that you're being watched. Who knows who else is going to swing on you? That's something Wolves have been doing very well, is moving and manipulating. And in fact, he doesn't want to sit there and stay. He's going to pull himself back. Another stun comes out from the Echo drone. Mowgli moves around the back end, gets one, pulls himself further away, tucks back in. Benja, once again, has to be cautious. It's almost like they're being hunted by the Predator. It's just grab someone, pull them out, you're being watched, they're invisible, and now there's a minute 20, and you've lost 2 of your mates.
It's not just that, but Benja wasn't able to hear the phone call because he was constantly getting stunned by the yokai drone, which means that probably wasn't even aware of the fact that he was still being hunted at that point. Just thought of it as a bit of a nuisance that he had to deal with at that point. Things coming through. Virtue not able to connect it. Needs to jump in if he wants to pick up the kill. No, B4 goes off just in time. Rotates around a little bit. It's a 1-man advantage. So Benja will get one. Mowgli into the triangle, lean back in. It's a second for Benja. He just gets G2 back into this round.
Well, can they try and build behind this? Benja, the recent addition, the pickup and replacement of Citizen, is seeing if he can try and swing some numbers here. 30 seconds, Mowgli gets 1, gets 2. Blur locked down, it's all got to be Benja. There's not a way up there. And Wolves, once again, are on map point.
Putain de merde! Putain de machine!
One kill away from a Mowgli ace there, I believe, as we see them all happening in the kill feed. Almost picking it up. Just not the last kill, but that doesn't matter. He did what he needed to do together with the yokai drone that Rise was providing him information with. Just the constant stuns. And G2 not dealing with that drone, having no clue where they're getting stunned from. Now again, map point against them. Headed towards the kitchen and dining themselves as well. They have found success there twice. Hoping to bring this to a 7-7 as a result.
I mean, they've done it before. That's the tricky thing, but as I said, momentum is still rolling in the favor of Wolves right now. Them being able to capitalize upon it and put it on their attack. Can they? They've risked one quick attempt. But when they had a little bit of control on their attacks, things were pieced together pretty well. As I said, they were happy to sort of sit and punish G2. I don't know if that would work right now. It's sort of that risk-reward strategy from G2. Are they confident enough that they can go a bit adventurous and have an explore and not be punished for it and trust in themselves? Or are they a bit concerned they might meet the fired-up sort of prowess of Mowgli, of Bibu at the minute?
Also, P4 and Shinka both have been able to get back into the game after we gave them, you know, a little bit of a pep talk here that they normally do better and they really need to if they want to see Wolves to be successful. That was at 3-2. Now it's 6-7 for Wolves. Those two stepping up. Elamau still a little bit behind, but he's, of course, being that IGL right now. He's making sure G2 is still in this at this point in terms of making the right calls. And he's hoping he made the right one now, and he's making them throughout the round. 2 minutes 20 on that clock. Wolves starting to enter from below. Drones coming through, a network being set up. They want to know where everybody is. It's Doki. He went adventurous, didn't quite connect anything there. So that's no harm. No gain.
Ever since that very first round where they suffered from the swing out early on, it seems like Wolves, they sort of learned the caution needs to be paid. Unfortunately, not well enough. Mowgli gone. Benja still on a drive, gets a huge take, tucks himself up to the top of blue as well, waits for maybe some other pressure, has the support structure not off too far in Alamau, and that means Wolves have to try and force from multiple different angles. They're going deep and underneath, hoping for the hatch catch, I think, maybe up the main stairs in the fireplace area as well, and you can see G2's just trying to get the first step in. There's the swing, there's the push, a bit of attention. They're sort of saying, this is where we are. You want to come fight us, as they can put the pressure above here. Now they've got him cornered. Now they should get the kill. He's holding on, but as I said, Wolves, they were circling.
Hunting like a single pack they are. They're trying to make sure that they are coming through, working together to clear out these players. But the problem is, 60 seconds left. No gain on the actual site. That all needs to start happening now as they try and take over the top, but also need to be taken horizontally onto that site. You see Shinka dropping down with that diffuser. Rise is setting up some claimers just to protect the run out. And that's potentially what he will remain doing. Just stop anybody from that top floor to interfere with the plan that Wolves is trying to bring up here. As the time still ticks down, P4, he's about to be finding himself into the side as he opens up with his breach charge.
There it is, they're angling up towards the plant. 30 seconds though, and it only takes one thing to fall out of place at this risk. Oh, Shinka tears Virtue off with only a single smoke canister used at that point. You got a C4, you got some support, and you got Doki on the second story. Alamau gets an important frag, but Bibu gets one just as important back. They're trying to smash their way through to get this kit planted. Blur is still tucked on close. He's hoping and praying that he can just wait this time around. This really should be Blur's to pick up, and we are going all the way.
I'll fucking bottle whip that round.
Blur just hiding in that corner early on. You saw the breach came through on the side, the exothermic went off, and he's like, there's only one place I can go. Little sidestep behind this wall, just wait until that plan goes down, because if you do not move, if you do not fire, if you do not get droned, no one will know you're there. And the cover will be at kitchen rather than on your corner, your little area you're hiding in. And that's where you can just step up and take down that diffuser planter. Brings us to 7-7, all the way to 15 in map 1 already. This is proving to become a potential fun series of 45.
Are we going all the way, Des?
We might be. Who knows? I mean, these teams know each other through and through. Again, they scrimmed each other for 15 maps right before the 6 Invitational.
Yep.
It's like... That's what makes this game so dangerous for both these. G2 was confident they could take them on easily, but now Wolves, Wolves got claws, they fighting back. And that is proving to be problematic here for G2.
Throughout this tournament, Wolves have been in the OT position 3 times, and they've won every single time. Twice against Direwolves, one against Liquid, to clinch that series. At the same time, it's not been as successful, but as common for G2. 1 win, 1 loss in OT. The statistics obviously could change for both of them at this moment in time. It's the pressure on Wolves at this point, and maybe on this entry statistic. We talked about the importance of it at the start and how for G2 it has been exceptional. They've had a lot of wits to it, a lot of success. There's been a big drive into their rounds, but throughout this game, it has not quite matched the sync and the step of the rest of the tournament for them. It's familiarity for you. Can they just try and keep some of the part and pace? Benja, 17-11, has got a lot of that in the recent rounds where Doki and Alamau have been quieter. Benja has made sure he is heard. Suffers. Grenade doesn't quite get the swing. Pre-fires the angular break from alongside, and you cannot risk losing him at this moment.
And you got to make sure you do not fall for the same tricks that G2 just deployed up against the Wolves. It's minute 40, the wall already opened up to the site, so, they could just try and run for the B-bomb side and go for a plan out there. There it is. Oh, the impact trick stops it from happening. And that means there is no heart breach left on Blur. There is no heart breach left, period, on the side of G2. So that is going to be making this a lot more troublesome. They need to go for kills here quicker than trying to get that plan down.
This is maybe the longest we've had all these players alive at this point. They've putting the pressure on. The Florist drone buys them a bit of growth, a bit of support, pre-fires the close angle. They've got control of a shield, but do they know the player close to the right? Oh, they will in a moment. It'll get blown open. They're just tucked round. He's not been checked, just down to his left-hand side. They're lying, they're waiting. There's Rise, caught out. There's another one, falls, and Bibu pops up. He was the surprise factor. They didn't quite get the drone. They picked the catch back up. It's not at least an entire disaster, but P4, he's around the back and shoots a little bit premature, finds one on the end of it anyway. 30 seconds, and Wolves are refusing to let anything be comfortable here for G2. It's a scrappy engagement round the side of a couple of bits of things that don't take bullets too kindly, but look at where G2 are. They've got 20 seconds. They're having to play a dangerous scrappy fight as the diffuser still has to make its way down towards the site itself. There's a free catch, an unaware player slips in, but with Shinka holding the back line and the verticality still in the pressure, they have to try and isolate P4. He hops. He's round the back. He's able to find the kill. It's the Maestro. It's P4. And Wolves take Chalet.
They take the first, they managed to hold on to that last side, barely, but they held on by sending people back up top, by keeping them in that fight, by trading. Something Fabian mentioned during their timeout. They're just hiding, they're getting these individual picks. And that's how they get the better of you. Wolves, 1-0 over G2. What was it, only 12% of the viewers at home believe they were able to do it?
I mean, probably even less of the talent, let's be honest. In Wolves, they proved a lot of people wrong. Let's see if they can try and finish the statement after a quick break. We'll be back with map 2.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a two-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
here to map 2 of a series that, well, it's a good start for Wolves. They're able to get the first map in, the lead in, and when it's all or nothing, there's no points, no scratches, no prizes, it's getting to the end of the line. How do they take Kafe away from G2 up next?
Yeah, that is going to be the big question, of course. You know, when we were earlier on the analyst desk, they're like, this could be a 2-0 if we're looking at the first 2 maps. Those are favoring G2. Now, they just got the first out of the way, so surely, you know, Wolves they're going to be trying to see if they can take it in a 2-0 fashion themselves. Not because of points, just because of ease of mind and keeping yourself fresh for the game they have to play later on if they do win. Quickly looking at Chalet right here, Mowgli 15-4, Bibu 15-8, P4 10-10, managed to really get back into that game, especially with that last round. And Ryzen 10-10 as well, a lot of double digits coming down on the side of Wolves.
And it's just the thing is, obviously, whoever takes this game, they move across to face Lost One later on today, who have been a very dangerous force. It's that conversation that we have about these two teams when they've hit head and we're seeing Bibu, we're seeing Rise, we're seeing these huge names because of the familiarity pop off. There's nothing more unfamiliar than I think a team like Lost One that is an amalgamation of a couple of different teams come together recent. It was a real underdog story, their run to get here. There's a lot that's going on and they've made sure that they brought so much here. So this game, the longer it sort of goes, the less time you have to get your head around your opponents coming up after this potentially, the less time you have to prep and build and reset and reevaluate and get the different mindset. You cannot approach your sort of familiar enemy as you can one that you might not have ever experienced before.
Quick banana buff being taken care of here. So it's good to have that energy going on. As the entire Wolves just quickly, you know, close to each other, discussing the strategy, discussing the game plan they want to bring for Kafe.
We can laugh at Carl later.
Bro, no, this was the worst map by far. Bro, there was one round.
We can laugh at Carl later, is what Fabian said.
That's fair enough.
Okay, get the game done first, then we'll laugh at him for dropping 2 kills in the first map.
Yeah, but like that's that sort of idea there is, you know, if you're piecing together things that didn't quite have a connection, you got to have a good spirit about it, but you got to be honest about it. And they know that Alamau didn't quite have the connection that he can, and they hope that he will now, and he's still in good spirits. Wait, hang on. What's Fabian saying? I think he was saying if you don't drop 15...
Oh, he needs to push-ups.
There was definitely...
Clown costume back on.
I wonder if they packed that.
They better have. Otherwise, you could probably get one somewhere here in...
I remember in Charlotte Major, you know, Des and Tim do their opening skits, little bits, little gags, little goofs. I was the one that actually ordered the clown costume for Des. So, small world.
You're saying, Fabian, if you need a clown costume.
Fabian, if you needed someone who can order a clown costume. No, it's probably easy to get, as proven. Okay. Players returning to their seats will be in with map 2 and Kafe. How do you think this shapes up for the two different teams?
Let me just pull up the stats as we go for that. Kafe 4 G2 over, I believe this is the last year, has been played 3 times. Lost against W7M, lost against Dark Zero, and a win against Space Station Gaming. So, make it as you wish, but it doesn't really look like a good kind of map going through. Over the last year, Wolves have played a lot more than that.
Yep.
A total of 13 times. They've only won it 3 times, however, so I mean, it's also not looking too bright. A win against Dire Wolves, against TT9 and M&M is what they have on board. And
see, until this recent performance, you'd say that that was 3 not easy teams to take it from, but easier matches.
Also not the hardest teams.
Yeah. Whereas M&M, I mean, they're the undefeated. They're the best SI quals team. So Flores, fast move. Pretty clever. I mean, they can be very, very good on this, and French teams do really enjoy Flores. Ying, we will have Iana on the board this time round.
See if that changes the game. Maybe that was the game plan all along. Let's get Iana back on the board.
But it limits Ying and Candelas. It's something that you know, it's in a very good spot. She's in a very good place, and she's in very good hands in G2's hands. So anyone can use her right now. It's that sort of level of entry. However, some people can use her very well.
Yeah, and if you do, she's very impressive. It's just hard to deal with. Basically, only having Warden that can you know, look through. And
it's also worth mentioning that one of the things that Fabian highlighted is that our team plays better than their team play. They're just having a couple of big pop-off players.
Yeah.
Ying functions best with good teams, good team play.
Yep, for sure. Having Ying, of course, Ying is the only person that doesn't get flashed besides Warden, but, you know, it's so good for an execute. Like, 8 out of the 10 players of the team could be blind at that point. Win a match, rather. As we get underway for the first round, we're headed towards the top floor. It is going to be Cocktail. G2 starting off on the defense here. Nothing really changed. Looking at the last game, or last map they played, we had 7 entries for G2, 8 for Wolves, and 6 out of 7 entries for G2 translated into a round. The only exception, round 15, where they lost it.
Yeah.
So entry is going to be quite important here. Historically speaking, G2 does have a better entry percentage than Wolves against them. But, I mean, as I just mentioned, Wolves somehow really good into it, into this game so far in terms of entries. So if they manage to keep that up here, this could be a good second map for Wolves.
Pretty standard setup, pretty standard approach here. Obviously the IQ has grown in with the sort of presence of a lot of electricity gadgets. No Solus, no Valk, so you're at least not directly responding to them, but you've still got a lot of possibilities. You've still got a lot of control you can be offered. Here's a catch, Mowgli, do you know? Oh, they're going wider. There's the C4! No! Just held shift and dropped down. And the Iana survives.
Well done there. That's probably why he didn't go up instantly. He was expecting something to happen and, you know, just making sure that whatever it was being tossed out first. Make a lot of noise. Survived. Magnets are being spotted out. That's just to catch any of the flashbangs going through. That's successful now. Grenade follows up quickly. Be rolling through all the way to the cocktail bar. Rice takes a lot of damage from the window. Eventually, we'll get the first kill onto Benja, though, so that's the entry for Wolves again.
Yeah, Benja, he went aggressive back onto Rise there. You assume there's some air jabs tucked and traced under white window, potentially on the nearby door run out as well, just to give themselves a little bit more modicum of safety. Alamau, he's under a bit of pressure. Virtue steps close towards Lumber and actually runs away. I was going to say maybe to offer some support, but it seems like the call and the pressure is coming against Cigar as well. They thought it was entirely east, but it's across every front. They have a bit of time here to start the drone work out. Blur, he's the one instead that steps into Lumber, steps onto where they lost Benja, and just make sure that there's at least somebody in every spot. The single loose player underneath with the chance at a C4, with the chance of doing some damage is Doki. The Vector can be very sharp, very pointed in the right hands. Just has to make the connection, and the shotgun as well. Open up holes if you get eyes on the planter.
Windows are making it so much more difficult. 2 of those architects currently in play. And even though they have the entry frag, Wolves don't really have any of that big, important control yet. As Alamau takes down 1, Doki finds another kill. The drop through the skylight is successful, though. Shinka picks up 1, but it's going to be collapsed upon now by the remaining G2 members, I believe.
Seeing if they can try and get the stick down. Tucked on the second bar. They're able to get it from underneath. They said that's where Doki wants to be, and he went unchecked, and he was free to work it. The first was a C4. The second is both of them dancing in the middle of the site. 40 seconds. Wolves can't quite lock it out, though, and G2 open up with a first.
It's good to get back into it. They lost the entry, but they still managed to basically turn it into their own advantage really quickly. Of course, with the help of those castle barricades, the mirror windows, really shaping the side to their own desire.
Yep.
As Alamau said, we practiced against them. I don't know if that was a call for change of strategies because they practiced it against them, or if it was just affirmation going through.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Either way, 1-0 G2. Not bringing as many architects now, just the Zami, you know, just between brackets, because Zami's totally not aggressive at all, you know.
The Zami is just powerful. There's no sort of two ways. I remember the old conversations you'd have about Legion when they were at their strongest, where you say there's not a bad site for Legion. That's one of the things that makes him so good. There's never a moment where it's not a sort of bad thing to bring. And there was moments where you didn't really need Mira when she was super powerful. You didn't potentially really need Castle. You didn't potentially need whoever. That is where she is right now, and also a great gun, and also quite mobile, and also, and it just, the list goes on and on and on. So you've seen her just find such a solid place because, well, what's bad about her?
Nothing really. As G2 aware of that, using it as well, of course, and for the rest, a lot of traps as well coming through with the goo mines with the frost mats. Also, your laser gates are some sort of denial as well in terms of throwables or just anti-personnel. Reactivate it shortly, of course, if there is a safe opportunity to do so. Smogly going around with his nice little drone. It's not going to get very far, spots out Ellenbaum, and not more information gained. Ellenbaum instantly rotates around, is headed towards Kojak, and that's something G2 have been doing well. Your position is known, you head into the next. You keep on swapping between those two to always keep them guessing. Now, it might have not fully worked out on the previous map, but Kafe has a lot more of these close angles around that really make that shine.
Turkey starts to put a bit more structure and buy himself some safety, and that's out of punch range. A very clever play there. It means that they cannot quite get it knocked out as easily if it was on the window, but you can still do that. Well, sometimes you get a little bit lucky with those grenades, and what a perfect response. Doki gone. Much earlier than GT would have liked, but at least Benja can find one back. Virtue gets hammered on the rotate round onto the top, and they've slipped on closer. Shinka pulls on further back. BB's watching from far away, but the DMR can be pretty powerful. One of the big costs right now, though, is, well, they haven't got anybody on the small bake to the right. They don't have anybody trying to crack it down, so they've got to go a little bit more direct. They do the line, cut off his rotate around onto the side if he wanted to try and take it via prep, and instead, Virtue, he's going to try and risk the engagement on the way back out the door. He's going to try and find it. Shinko, not quite sure if he's confident enough to take it back yet. They've slipped further and further, and the longer Virtue's here, the more of a problem it is for Wolves.
Yeah, they need to be cutting the pie perfectly here to find him and not actually thinking about the angle. Sneaks up, Shinka finds Virtue though. Bakery under control again, and there's openings made already they can use. FP4 is able to sneak out for the rest of the top 4 control. There's a player down there, crouch, holding with a very nice tight angle. It doesn't quite hit the shots though, leans back into the fight. Hopes to take down P4.
You're looking at 20 seconds on the clock though, and Blur, they're able to win one out on the top. They have the vertical control, and with what was open before by the buck, it's sort of like, thank you very much, that's mine now. 2 versus 1. He's dropped back down. He's going for the engagement instead of trying to hold on to it. He's seeing if he can get the Ash first. Drops and sprays. Now it's the 2 versus 1. The first is his. The second cannot be. And Wolves respond with the kitchen.
A lot of energy coming down from Wolves. This grenade beautiful, by the way. Doki did not have a single opportunity to respond. And at some point, it just needed to go for it. The time was running out. They didn't really have all control. You just run through prep. You hope for the best. You make sure you have the cover on point, which was all there, 1-to-1. We're staying in this. Pulling up statistics for the map. Kafe, overall, during the 6th Invitational, has been played for a total of 130 rounds.
Wow.
3% of them went towards the defense. So if Wolves is able to pick up 3 rounds here on the attack, they are finding themselves in a good spot to try and lock this off with a 2-0. And even though, you know, over the 13 times they've played it, they've only won it 3 times over the past year, it doesn't matter if you win it right now, because the latest game you play is basically your current state of the map.
Wolves, the response they needed. Things were a little bit back and forth. The leading on the grenade kill, as I said, was well placed, well timed. The instant response from Benja, and then that just continued across the whole map. It's one of those showdowns where everybody seems itching to prove themselves in the gunfight situation, and coming down to a 1 versus 1 post plant is one of those ones that's always as tight as it can really be. G2. They're going to see if they can try and hold off on the middle floor. You start with the extension over towards the top. You force some play and attention, but this looks like it might have some of that ominous idea of not entirely quick, but clear what we need and plant right behind it. The control, the verticality directly above the reading room door, and then you sort of tuck it on the other side. You can see that G2's reading this. Blur's come over to open the hatch, Doki's come a little bit closer to offer some support, and Virtue with the C4 is underneath. They've sort of gone, this is on the east, and we said, well, let's meet him there.
So some players up on the top floor, and as you mentioned, two are looking to go in quickly, and maybe that is just going to be working out, but no, P4 instantly taken down. Diffuser dropped on the ground. Mowgli needs to go for a bit of a refrag here. Doesn't find either. It's a double entry for G2.
Very well read there from G2. As I said, they heard the noise. The warning bells were there, and they did not ignore them. Rise wanted to be hopefully able to catch some of them on the back end, but now that they've lost the opening too, and remember where the diffuser is, it's kind of obvious what needs to be locked down at this point, and Wolves have to approach from the exact opposite side. Take this as the more formulaic, more standard of let's clear, let's push, let's do this and do this and do this. Unfortunately, they've got to do it with 2 less people.
It's not going to be making it more easy in the slightest. Possible? Yes. The time slowly starting to tick down, and you haven't really put a dent into the current defenses of G2 yet, which means it's all really turning into a bit of a frag fest. And if G2 have those 2 extra members on the board, and with the amount of time that's still just ticking down without really any progress being made by Wolves, this, you know, just becomes closer and closer to an actual G2 round.
Alamau trying to get the 15 kills that was ordered by the dear leader behind them, but Virtue's able to swing in and get one. There's one more for us. Trouble. He's going to find the last fight. No! Virtue's able to lock it in, and G2 respond.
Fully aware of that push.
Can go bar again. I think bar is really easy. I think bar same strat.
Can we do a Zami strat?
No, I think we do same strat but don't play base, just give up base. Okay, just give up base.
Okay, they got 100 below, then I don't know.
There you go.
Okay, back to bar. Same strat, but they're going to give up basement. Which is very apt, because, hey, remember we pointed out the first time we were around here, Doki was underneath as the mirror, which, you know, it's not the most common roaming operator. It's not the most common one. The gun is precise, but it's not huge amounts of damage. And what you're looking at on this map is big, long firefights. You're looking down long corridors. You've got those from everywhere. And then you've got obviously the big open pillars area. So it's not the easiest. However, you have the C4, you have the shotgun, you have the calls. What they're sort of saying there is, look, I got away with this. That's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll just get out of there then.
Doki really wanted something else. Like he's like, I think we can do bakery.
He was like,
no, we're going.
He was like, I can do a Zami. We can do a Zami.
It's like, okay, can I do a Zami and bar then? It's like, no, we're doing the same as we were before. Doki really doesn't want to be playing the mirror, I think. But you know, they found success the first time around. Maybe not truly due to the strategy, but more so due to rotations that were called. But that's fine as well. You don't need to be 100% watertight on your defenses.
No, of course
it's okay to give them a little bit of room here and there.
Well, that's the thing. The idea is, on a lot of defensive builds, is to give them bits of territory enough that breaks time and slows them down.
Yep.
You sort of create a structure in a map that says, well, you have to enter the room here. You have to start the maze that we've created here and go from this point onwards. Whether you do that with physical object, a la the castle, a la Azami, or whether you do that by punching a window saying, la 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 la, I'm over here, it's two with the same function. You're just drawing the focus of the team away and making sure that you're like, oh, well, we've got to deal with that now first. We have to go this route that they've opted us into.
Is that second one how you play Siege? Just la 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 la.
Yeah.
Either way, minute has passed, and they are letting them know that they are near. They are inside of Piano. But also falling back because they don't really want to stick around. Doki, down below again, has a C4 pre-play, so does Virtue. Probably both around the actual Piano area, so that mirror window is going to be the call sign to come through. That's a kill. No, oh, you could have blown it up. But Doki died first. That's going to be one of those C4s gone.
Yeah, Mowgli pulls himself out of whiskey and goes back towards the top of red, and I assume Doki got caught around white window and watched on the back end, which is, you know, always that sort of big risk. He knew he was going to be hunted. Unfortunately for him, he was proven correct before he could at least take anything out of the swing other than time. However, the fact that Wolves sort of beeline towards the default take on the top of red and did not suffer from any play underneath means that that's still pretty good par for the course. We can hear Some of the structure being knocked open. The Hibana's making this corner for Blur a lot more dangerous. Hops over into the more dangerous zone of it as Virtue does get his C4 pop off. Shinka's gone. No more break will come, but neither will Virtue. P4 gets the lockdown from the end. 40 seconds though. They've got to try and drive themselves into the no man's land of the site.
It's going to be difficult, but at least that mirror window is out of play now. No need to worry about it for now. They still need to be pushing themselves inside, and Blur inside of that freezer takes down the first, goes aggressive. The glasses go on to the flashbang zone, be effective. Benja takes down another as Blur finds Yana sprinting by, leaves it only up to P4 now in a 1v3 situation with 20 seconds left on the clock. Diffuser this time, not in hand.
Not even Pengu knows what to do in this situation. A 3 versus 1. P4 suffers the scrap and the scrape. It was fantastic movement from G2. Blur, obviously, especially the little motions he makes. He's so calm when he sits and he stays and he waits, and he is a player who we've always said, you can never tell the read on his face.
Yeah.
Just the game that he's playing and the level of stress that he's in. But moving and taking that jump over outside of the mirror window, holding it for as long as he did, and not going out back behind him, which a lot of other people would do, or try and duck under the Hibana pallets. Instead, they sort of went here, okay, unexpected kill, and then push again, and you just love to see it. But Wolves take time out.
The one thing that confused me a little bit, though, is that we saw pre-play C4 on the minibar, where the Hibana was trying to take the fight from with opening the mirror window. And it just took like ages before that C4 blew up, and eventually did get the kill. That's when he jumped over. But it's like, if you'd done that earlier, you might have actually been able to save your mirror window there. Either way, that might just be part of giving away space here and there, wasting time.
Different energy from Wolves.
Yeah.
Different timeout. But to be fair, the timeouts that we've had, the first map had one from G2, and 20 seconds of it from our perspective watching G2 was actually French shouting from the other side, talking about KDs and who was better, and then on this, it's calm, it's collected, and that's, to be honest, based on the sounds of G2, where they want it to be. They're happy to play a calm, collected game now. They know that they've got a really good team dynamic, and they know that they can sort of impress that against their opponents here in Wolves.
And they need to as well. I mean, they were the ones that picked to play against Wolves. They had a lot of choice to go for. And they went for Wolves because they know the team so well. That is the best way to go up towards that next round. Have yourself a little bit of security, and then see if you can actually make it to win that one as well. But as we approach again from the Wolves side, there's been a couple of times we've heard C4s to be tossed out by G2 members. One's of course from the hedge up top, one's from the window down below. Doesn't seem to be the case now, but Doki is hiding below. Could be going for an impact run out.
Mowgli's cautious of that. And there's always the threat of that on this map. There's a couple of moments. It's almost like the sort of do or die of Bank as well, with a little bit less of a grand scale, a little bit less of a hunt afterwards. You can throw yourself into those tricky positions. You can take risky rotates back round, but it's done as sort of a once-a-side treat. It's not something you can do on multiple different little pop your head out. There's not too many locations like that. And that's the safety that Wolves have here. They're cautious of exactly that play as we head over to Mining Dining.
Grenade being used here to open up the castle barricade. It's going to allow Wolves a way through. Just ducks in time, but the pings are there. No, gets taken down from above. And that's B4 striking big as he finds two.
B4 driving themselves through after the tag timeout. Mowgli gets Blur as well. There's Alamau, at least able to find one. And a second. Tears the head off and making pretty great progress for the demands for Fabian. But still 3 versus 2. Still the territory fallen into the hands of Wolves. They're just making sure that, well, Alamau has potentially left Lumber. He's not too far away, but he's not there, and that's the big important part. Mowgli, the slow drift via pillars. Alamau going underneath. Benja kind of alone on the site right now. Needs some support to come, and it's going to come up brown stairs. Alamau, the big rotate behind, but at this point, Mowgli's moved a bit on. He's trying to find the fight in the corridor. They're going to meet each other quite like that. Rise at the full watch and the read on Alamau, and Benja has a minute to try and live this out.
50 seconds alone versus 3 wolves hunting you together. He has some tight angles with the train carts here that he can hide in, and he is in the middle of the site, so he definitely has a good opportunity. Misses the first shots though, takes a lot of damage. He's going to be sandwiched as the plant goes down. He needs to take a fight somewhere. Swaps over to the SMG, gets taken down from behind. Right, shuts him down. 3-2. Right after the timeout, a way sharper wolves we saw.
I'm not sure what Lillian found funny at the end of that, but they're in good spirits as well.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, they won that first map, and they also know they were not the favorites in this game. They are the Underwolves. Sorry.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
It's been a long
very
week.
proud of it.
Yeah, I mean,
I figured that one out.
I think you are proud of it. I think you should be, but it's just you said it like you weren't sure.
No,
They're the Underwolves. They were the Underwolves. You know what's under a wolf? A dog, because a wolf is a big dog.
How do you know the wolf's laying on a dog though? It's kind of.
No, I mean like from a hierarchy.
Oh, hierarchy. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know the hierarchy of dogs?
No.
What's better, dogs or cats?
I'm a dog person.
Oh.
My girlfriend is a cat person, so it's.
They're both as good as each other.
To kill you the other wrong.
Yeah. Okay. 3-2. Doesn't matter who is what animal at this point. The only animal that we have ahead of us is a best of 3, and G2. They want to see if they can try and get a 4-2 split once again here on their defense half before they lead on to their attack on Kafe. You know, we're seeing Wolves obviously resurge after attack timeout. It's a very important stat, and how did G2 respond to that? One of the problems that they had on the previous map when their lead sort of filtered away from them was they were being caught out by hero plays, and they were trying to do their own and not quite having it land the same way. Their teamwork has been brilliant up to this point. They're trying big moments, but that last one was reminiscent of some of the failures on Chalet.
Again, a 3-3 split will be quite good for Wolves as they would be heading into the second half on that even ground. That's what they will be aiming for. All they need is to get one more of those entry kills they've been able to build up so far. 4 out of 5 rounds have gone that way. We're now trying to find out where the 6th will go. Out of the G2 or Wolves. Drone's being pinged out. I believe that is a Mozzie hack drone, so they're trying to figure out if they can take it down. As Alamau, spotted out, is trying to find himself a way out. The pre-forest come through, takes a small amount of damage, but he survives for now.
Everybody's still standing. Nobody wants to suffer the first engagement because it seems to herald the end times. There's always a push and a fight right behind. If we are the ones that talk about the importance of trade statistic, these are two teams that try and prove that it's a golden mantra etched at the top of every rulebook of how you should do this. P4, in the meantime, creeps up alongside Mowgli. They're next to the double reading wall. It's all locked, but remember last time they just tried to beeline it straight in. This time it's a little bit of width and a great take. Benja gone. P4 showing what this rifle can do. A fantastic snap connection. Doki steps in to replace the fallen teammate as Virtue's under pressure. They've only really got the single player on the top floor where they're going to hold on or rotate back. The vertical's still important. The double wall is being cracked open. Alamau gets caught as well, just from P4. Swinging the same door, P4! He's almost got his namesake worth of kills this round, and there's only one player left to do it on. Blur, he's trying his best to hold out, but it is a flawless round to end the Wolves' even half.
3-3, it's huge for Wolves, and after that timeout, 2 rounds in a row, and now onto the defense they go. Rice is tasting it. He's feeling it. 4 rounds away. Yeah, Mirror's being picked. We see it as well in the meantime.
S'il vous plaît, please.
Yeah.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused.
I love that the little wolf is always looking at the camera.
Little plushies they bring.
Does it have a name? Do we know?
I don't know if we do.
We need to find that out.
As far as I know, I'm not aware of any.
Milos, if you're doing the interview, these are the important questions you need to be asking.
Need to be asking.
What's the name of the wolf? At the minute, B. We start here on the top floor. Bar is where we're locked in. A big preference in EU as a region, as a sort of first lead-in site. It gives itself some success. You can sort of force a take, force a play. It's one or the other, really. There's not a lot of adaptation that you can truly bring to this in terms of your attack. You have to approach in similar formats from similar locations, really often regardless of what is up against you.
I mean, it's the thing, right? It's often revolving around piano and, you know, going in from cigar.
You don't get a lot of wiggle room around that.
We've sometimes seen another push to come through, mostly in CL. I still remember the Gamma push that was just everybody repel up to the east side, and EL just went in roughly around the same time, looking like that. It is possible.
Gamma.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
That one got highlighted back then as well.
Ooh, look at this, though. Straight in underneath. Two of them trying to hunt Bibu inside reading. There's pressure coming around. There's somebody stacked up on the pillar's door as well. There's Benja, Alamau, and Doki entirely encircling the loose player. Bibu caught out. They knew who they wanted. They knew what they wanted, and Doki was scared he was going to get hunted when he played underneath, and, well, he was eventually, but not quite like that. That was full dedication. P4, he's sprinting his way closer in towards Whiskey. He's getting himself tucked in the corner, waiting for maybe something, but how quick they were to do that work puts a good bit of fear into the remaining Wolves.
Yeah, for sure. Within a minute, the roam already taken care of. The camera now will be hacked as well, and that means G2 have full access to the information network that has been used or is there still from the side of Wolves. Of course, no bulletproof cameras here, no evil eyes, no yokais. There is no Valkyrie on the board, so basically you only get default cams at this point, but it's still something that you can use.
You can see P4, he's drawing focus. He has some support here from the Wamai. They're doubling up. They want to lead the next engagement. They definitely, as I said, want to make sure that the trade is something that goes in their favor. Doki caught out. P4 went really aggressive, slipped past the drone, and well, that is an unfortunate moment for there, but a great read, a great bit of momentum from P4 to just keep the pressure going. You never know when you might slip past their intel and become the problem. Alamau, talking of, slips his way in, just saw the tip of a hammer, and as Alamau's going for the plant, somebody needs to pay a bit of attention. There's the motion. Did they just read the site was empty? The spray connects, but a little too late, a post-plant. And they've moved off the hatch. They're going to go for the trade back in. There's a fight underneath. Benja, he's trying to get the angle. He misses the man. He cannot find him.
Let's go. Machine Axel aussi d'aller en bas là. Elle fait une diarrhée la meuf. Ouais, je peux voir en bas.
Hello, A-Stream.
Hello. You just joined in to a frustrating end of a G2 round. But a very good one if you're a Wolves one, because just sticking it like that, the kill coming through and instantly rotating in, get on that diffuser, start diffusing it. The fight taking on downstairs as well just buys you the extra bit of time.
Oh, it was a sneak plant of everybody holding on. The sun realization, the lock at the kill, but it coming a little bit too late, and then the boldness to go, well, we got them, let's get that. And taking opportunities, 101. I said it about P4 being able to take one and slip on by the information game and get that kill onto Doki. But then the follow-up there is just that game put to a T by these two teams. Wolves, they pull ahead, and as you can see in the top middle of your screen, they're already one up, and this is a map where it's G2's map, sure, but an even half leading into the start.
The 12% that do have channel points and Wolves are currently howling for their potential returns. 3-4, and we are seeing a bit of a extension towards the top, but that's quite usual. You want to be making sure you have some verticalities towards the actual kitchen. Openings will be made by G2. They are bringing a shield, they're bringing that Monty. Doki gets the first, that's Bibu removed. He's not been having the best of games, but this also means that Bakery is instantly under control now. They're basically on the front door of the site already. which is going to be really dangerous for Wolves.
Oh, look, there's a Goyo canister that they're trying to pop so no one follows in immediately behind. And it's Mowgli that pops around and gets Virtue tucked on the window. The Monty's just going to stack himself, so nobody can entirely swing their way back. So that's why the smoke canister gets thrown. It forces him out of the door, but Benja gets Rise over the top. And there, round the back of coat check, Benja gets one more. Snuck his way in. He's stolen all the coats. P4 with the impact gets close to the end, but P4 still on the terror that he's been able to just put across this G2 approach, and even the defense on the last round before. It allows them a second, it allows them a bit of breathing room to sneak their way back around. They also still have control above. Inside train, they cannot just drive themselves into the plant now. The Monty's gone as well, so you can't get the coverage with the Turtle Shield shell if you want to. What G2 have, though, is more than 20 seconds on the clock.
It's a really weird round so far. Like, kills just keep on happening everywhere. The side is completely open. No one is really being able to take control of it. And G2's now afraid of actually pushing through. They know there's no one out there. There is a player actually near. Shinky gets a kill from above. That's Blur taken down. Benja is quite low on HP as well. He gets swung on by the 9x19. Fiacetto, where impact almost finishes the jump for him. But B4 gets the kill. Benja trades him out. The floor bang onto the last.
I agree, Doki.
What is that laugh?
That is disbelief, baby. That was insane, Benja. The recent addition, the pickup to a roster replacing considered one of the best gunners in the game. What do? Pull out some of the best guns in the game. Hell of a bite back there. And the only reason G2 ended up winning the round, it was scrappy the whole way through, but think about how they started to pull it in was Benja from Coat, gets the double, keeps himself alive, pulls back, doesn't swing into the next engagement of player's life against the Capcan when it's sort of a bit hit and miss and forces the Capcan to have to go back to the site. And then just gets a couple of kills on the end of it. Didn't get the ace because Doki got the opener, but may as well take the bow for the round.
I mean, that's it, right? Like, Doki got that first kill. G to try to go quick. They basically were being reeled back in by Wolves, as you just mentioned. If it wasn't for Benja, that would have been a 3-5 for Wolves right now, and they would be starting to, well, get even more energetic, starting to get towards that map and series point. So they can thank Benja for that round of 4K. And we start again with another round. 3 minutes starting to tick down as we're headed towards the reading room. Looking about that. Defense so far has been pretty 50-50 on that. We've seen it won once by the defense, once by the attack. It's now up to G2 to see which one will be more favored.
Benja waits in anticipation. It gets popped open for him, and he's hoping he can lean in from somebody underneath, but no catch, no reward, nothing. Yeah, they're still curious though. They're hoping Rise might try and step himself into a challenge and go a little bit wider. He's not giving them that as of yet. Takes a more sheltered route out of there. They don't want to have the entrance statistic fall away from them because, as we've said many times throughout this series, when it does, it seems to dictate a little bit more of the pace of the round, especially with how scrappy this game has turned into. The first person to stab seems to be the one that at least ends it hobbling.
Doki moving quickly. Hoping to work together with his remaining members. Taken care of by Bibu. I was just going to say, that could go either way. Grenade coming through now as well, but Keeper Barrier stops it from happening. Doki still gets the kill over the cross, though.
Yeah, he was making sure that they're in a position to go for the pinch. They're trying to find the smoke as well, and causing a bit of problem. And Bibu obviously got the opener kill, and he's tucked himself with some solidity to his left-hand side, and the Solid will make sure he's locked down a bit. Without Virtue on that window, well, it means that he can play it a little bit longer, and they still need to pay focus to the site. P4, we've highlighted his aggressive maneuvers and how they've been a great lead-in for the team before. They're going to see if they can continue that, and at this point, Bibu's gone. Failed the first grenade, get a little bit too close for comfort, may as well. You've still got time and use down in the site itself. As Rise inside pillars will be the next point of pressure.
Verticality now becoming an issue for Wolves. They need to be careful of, as well as Benja all the way on the back of the tower, is just looking over the pillar side. You need to be careful now as a Wolves member to not overstep, to not overstay your welcome. Shrink is still down below. That C4 could be huge. As Rise finds Benja. So that is going to be a lot of pressure suddenly gone from the outside. It's before the clay to be put down earlier. Brings it back to a 3-on-3.
Hidden in the plant pot, disguised. No one takes a second to smell the roses. And that's a catch. And there's another one. Rise. Love how Wolves are just stepping themselves so aggressive. Blur inside the site, alone with a diffuser and 3 French Wolves, or 2 and a Belgian, circling. Not for very long. Wolves, they respond. They're 1 round up once again.
Machine, Val, machine, ma gueule. Voilà, il prend un time-out, c'est gros fils de pute. 2 roues dans l'épée. On joue pas comme en 2000 ici.
Attack break coming out from G2. Logically, of course, because they're currently 2 rounds away from losing the series. So let's hear what they have to say.
Because if we look at all of these kills that they're getting, are we able to trade on all of it? Are we even close to being able to trade to it? No, we're not. We need to play with the information. They're going to do the rat plays, just like they did last map. So let's stop giving them these freebies. Start playing as a group. If we need to slow down the tempo, fucking do it. But stop giving the freebies.
Guys, they are giving areas for us in map for this. They're just playing for exit, same way Dub7M did. They're just like falling back and waiting for Dexter, so we can't fuck on Dexter, okay?
Yeah. Show some fucking confidence now as well. Let's fucking get this done.
Yeah, we got this, no problem. But like, just a small thing, like, tell who can move the drone, Jake, because I don't know whose drone it was.
The drone's still important in place. Jake? No. Sorry, it's not important. Because we hold pillar. Like, even if the guy links brown, like, doesn't matter.
All good, let's go, boys.
The disruptive hero plays from Wolves are still the issue. They were during the first map, they seem to be now. And, I mean, all you have to really say is Rise in that last round.
Yeah.
Picking up those 2 kills from that one door, just basically freebies. And then stopping Blur from even being able to put the diffuser down, forcing him to rotate into another line of sight. It's the kind of stuff G2 needs to work on. And they need to work on it quickly because time is running out. Wolves are on course to beat G2 and knock them down to the lower bracket.
Hey.
Yes?
Remember when Fabian was just there, like, they're playing these sort of rat plays?
Yeah.
P4 is a big part of that. P4 is now picked up Kavera.
Talking about rat plays.
Talking about people who are built to hide in corners and get surprise strikes and cause massive problems.
Yeah. Are we going to see an interrogation? Maybe.
I mean, that would be
It would be the end of G2.
It would be the worst thing for G2 to suffer because they know that that's the problem. It's not just, you know, the rotations, but look at the positions that they keep finding themselves in. Wolves are tucking. They're just on the inside of a door. They're really wanting to meet the fights in places that G2 don't expect because they know that G2's playing this, like, build-up team game and doing these pinches very well. We've seen it, and it can be quick. But sometimes a surprise can ruin a whole party. The motion of P4 underneath is going to keep them alive for a little bit as the attention is paid out generally across the eastern side. We talked about this being the front. We talked about how the defenders then have to sort of remobilize and reposition. You can see some of that's coming through, but with only 2 window players for now, well, 1 window player maybe for now and 1 response, it's a slightly different story. Oh no!
There it is. That's.
Oh no! There is somebody above. There is somebody above, but it's an interrogation! They're able to get out of there. Bibu gets the cover. They cannot quite get the kill in time.
How did you get away with that?
Oh, they really shouldn't have. Alamau is left staring down a chasm of pain. And the French have said, yeah, we're playing these plays, and we're pretty dang good at them. Alamau, he's able to get one. Mowgli handed him the fight.
Recovered the diffuser.
At this point, that might be the only lead in.
I'm going to write down interrogation, that's it. It's on. This round is one. Alamau, yeah, he might have still an opportunity. There's a minute left on the clock if you can isolate them. Pretty far as they're coming through, he's quite afraid of someone coming down from below. The Bibu's going to be locking it off there, and that is 1 round now for Wolves.
I like how you just have like
Okay, there's 2 people above him right now. Why? How? Why is no one looking at
Was it 2? I think it was just 1.
No, the Buck and the Yana were both up there, but Alamau just ran away to the skylight. The Buck was on the red stairs, but, you know,
Okay.
where's the communication in that?
Yeah, well, this is also the thing as well, is like, what I was saying, I love how you can hear the French team very vocal, very aggressive, and the thing that you just get, Lilloon's laughter.
Yeah.
Because what else can you want from the team right now? There's sort of a couple of factors in how a team can play on a day. This energy from Wolves, and this energy with this much joy, and this much let's try things, has not been present at this tournament.
No, it hasn't been. And what did I say? Like, when we started out this game, they won 2 best-of-3s now. Confidence is building. They're playing against a team. They have practiced for 3 days straight, 15 maps. They've lost almost every single one of them, but as a result, they know exactly how to be effective against G2. And then you win the first map. And now you're 4-6 up on the back of an interrogation. I mean, that's all just working towards you. G2. You were told to play like a team, be together, be a unit. You have 2 more rounds to make up for now.
They were able to pull themselves to OT on the first map. They didn't win it out. They at least proved part of the puzzle. Benja slips on past the Banshee, goes up and up and up. There's a close fight that Shinka, well, goes and says hello. They can't get the full lock, but there's a Melusi that's there to be the end of it. Blood does find Rise. Huge that they're at least able to find one immediately back. But you've lost Benja. You've lost the person who's the reason this game technically isn't already over with a huge clutch round. You've still got a lot ahead of you. You've still got the site structure to take care of. At least you still have some grenades. At least you haven't lost anything in too much of a specific.
Still though, the confidence of Mowgli just running down there after the first pump of the shotgun doesn't do the job. He's like, I'll do it, don't worry, don't go for another swing. I'm here to pick up these kills. And at 4-4, Bibu now going aggressive himself as well. He's covered by the camera above him. That will be providing him information if someone does push in. Of course, the drone will be the first move to be made. Blur is currently using that. Spots out one of the players. They are going to try and work together to isolate him, I would believe so. And it's Mowgli behind the bar.
The beeps come through. They're trying to just hold in and see if they can get the angle as the fire pops. They're waiting and slowing them down for now. It's a swing that Doki's able to win out. They have the body advantage, but it's never really been for too long in this engagement. One more for Alamau. And they pop themselves forward. P4 though, and Bibu, and P4 once again. Either side finally puts an end. A 1 versus 1 Virtue. He has a lot of time, but look to his left, the rotate's coming through. P4's been aggressive this whole game, not quite working!
Good shit. I heard he good. I prefer him.
Good job, Jake. Fucking go, man. Let's get this last
For
one.
1v2. Let's get this last one, is all he says. Because they want to go to overtime. They need to go to overtime, otherwise they're going down to lower bracket.
I mean,
too close there again.
It's so close. It's never not been terrifyingly close for this G2. It's never not been a fight and a brawl today. And
defenders, protect your bombs from...
How do we find ourselves sinking further and further into this? G2 still have one more round. One more chance.
To catch up, to stay alive, to not go down to the under bracket after, well, pulling themselves together to find themselves in that second seed, where they could choose their opponent. There's always a bit of irony when you get to choose, right? You get to pick who you want to play against, and then you will be beaten 2-0. It's a bit like, ooh, it's a bit spicy.
It's always, yeah, it's tough because so much goes into it. And so much goes into it from your side if you're the one making the decision. If you're the one sort of having the call of, I want to play these guys, it's because you obviously think you can beat them. That's how it goes. And that's not just the history of you beating them, but also their current mental state, how you think they're sort of playing, how you think their tournament's been going. It's always stuff that's tied into it. And to be fair, if G2 made the call, I'm not sure if they were the ones or if it was because of group seeding. I know some of the teams, it was sort of...
They were second pick.
Second pick?
Yeah. So they actually...
You don't blame them for making the choice at the time based on Wolves' performance. They were only a couple of rounds from not being here. If their OT games against Direwolves had gone to Direwolves, Wolves would have been eliminated.
Yeah, no, that definitely would have been the case. Also, air jab just got hurt there. Rice takes it down now, lets himself know, like, hey, I'm close. He was a grenade that's getting pulled now by Benja. Jump over comes through. Needs to be very careful here. He's being hunted down. Fred said the grenade didn't catch anything as two people just flew right at him.
Mowgli getting some structure built on the top once again. Nobody's been caught as of yet, and that's an important part of this, but I think mainly for G2, they are cautious. They have to push together. They have to try and isolate the single player, the break on the window, the restructure from Mowgli, the cover there from Bibu around wood, around lumber as well. They're struggling to sort of find the first in. They're having to break through a lot of this control. Bibu is buying himself some time as well. Not going to risk the bulletproof punch. They know the swing will come behind it. There's still some danger that might come up behind them though from P4.
They need to go down at some point. It is the reading room. So yeah, Stokey's up here now, G2 is up here now. They're working on getting that verticality, but they're not sure if it's clear. Time is still being wasted. P4, he is still holding on as well. Whilst he is being watched from above, at some point that drop will have to come through as well, because the plant, again, needs to be going down a floor. So for now, Wolves in full control in these last 60 seconds. Nothing to worry about.
This is maybe one of the longest. We've had all the players, and that's right, Blur is playing the long game of watching and waiting from the back end. The spray through, the pressure, the door's still locked. Pillars was a big fight from Rise last time, but this time they've handed over a little bit more, and he's instead watching the opposite end. They're still trying to find where G2 is, but look at Shinka, ready to swing up Brown. Look at the positions of the Wolves players. They're more than happy to strike when the iron is not hot, but low on time. Pretty soon, we might all be pointing a couple of Pengu quotes in the chat, because this is all they have left. Doki is the first gone. There's the next by P4. The watch on the flank is gone. They've got to try and just drive into sight. They're in. They're able to get one up the back. Benja, Tuck going for the plant. The cover is on the door. They have some watch above. They're trying to swing their way around back. Virtue with a huge kill in the fight down Zulu. To 3 versus 2. The remaining G2 players did just enough to watch on, and they're not going to hand anything else over. P4. He's on the vertical hunt. He's been able to retake the top floor with Rise, moving in behind the intel. They bring it back to the 2 versus 2. Virtue's outside the door. Alamau's buried in the middle. There's Virtue, putting it into the fight. There's a swing round, and there's Alamau for another OT.
Good fucking calling, Colin.
Good job, guys. Good fucking job, guys. Good exercise.
Defense.
Good exercise. Cole, this is not an exercise. This is the real thing. If you'd lost that one, it would have been over, but a good push coming through, and even though you lost those first initial players, all you need is the cover to be there when the plant goes through, and that's exactly what G2 had. They might have not had a lot of control, but they had enough to make it work.
Attackers need to locate and
Bit of silence before the storm comes through, as we're headed towards another G2 defense. 2-3-3 halves is what we had. It is quite literally as 50-50 as it gets throughout the game so far. Just quickly checking as well. So has the kitchen been. Very 50-50.
It's so tense. It's so tense at this point, because it's really the weight of every single round, especially in the past 4 or 5, you can feel it. You know that there's that sort of sentiment that this game is stepping into, and obviously it's the second map of these two hitting the showdown, but it's starting to feel like that weight of this game is matching now. G2, they're back on their defense. They had a mixed bag. It was even halves, as you pointed out, either side. It's time to see if they can try and get back to where they were once upon a time, where they had the chance of getting more on their defense. There's only 2 rounds separating them from going home. Well, not going home. Lower bracket first. My apologies. But there's also 2 rounds separating us from our map 3 of Bank.
the situation we're in now. Wolves approaching for a top floor hold again. Logical. You want to drip down through the site, through the map. Make sure there's nothing left behind that could come to haunt you. The setup at G2 as well is not going to be using any verticality. Everything is horizontal. That means that, you know, they don't really have to worry about these top vertical angles when you start moving in with that diffuser. But it does mean you need to be taking more of these horizontal fights, and more crossfires thus will be on the board, which does make it harder to play against. EMPs come in to stop any ADSs out there, the bounce of the grenade as well to get rid of the shield. That's going to be making VIP a bit harder to take control of, but Alamau stuck high up, no, actually Blur up on the table, is going to be making sure that he's on a bit of an off angle if he does get swung on.
Yeah, they've pulled themselves somewhere else, but look at this. The pressure might be about to come down Brown. They've got some of the angles. They're watching for a rotate and hoping to catch a G2 hero play on the back end. One of the lessons that was attempted to be drilled into this team during the showdown was stop it. We're beating them on team play. We know that we can take them in the 5-on-5 if it comes down to it. The longer we have that, chances are we're more likely to pull things together. So you have a hold like this from G2 all spread around, a network of attention paid, the cover of what is being smashed open. Let Wolves play against the time and let's strike whilst we can. Doki is inside the site as the hatches starting to get a little bit more direct focus. That'll be the call. They do still have the player around Coat. They do still have VIP locked down as well, but when is the motion going to turn into movement?
Keeper barrier probably going to be used to provide some extra security because phone calls are coming. That means that a push is on its way. Doki falls back a little bit further towards the cook-in area. He doesn't want to stick around. Blur finds the first. Shinka tries to respond because that's the VIP player.
That's it, 20 seconds, and they've been able to get that entry on the player now stuck alone inside and towards the freezer itself. Bibu's trying to offer some support for the swing, but look at the time. This is what they wanted to push, and Shinka pushes the site. Doki gets caught out. Bibu gets one, cannot get the next. Mowgli has Blur. They're swinging their way. Benja C4 stops the plant. They got to try and pick it up. Benja just has to see if he can get this snuck round. Do they know where he is? They're watching the wrong way.
Lack of information in the end there for Wolves. First of all, the C4 coming through, stopping that plant. And then not having the right cover on point. Of course, Benjo was the one person unaccounted for. They had another kill up there. They knew there was the Frost. They take him down both. Suddenly there's a third player coming from that side.
This is the reason that you pick up Benja. This series alone, maybe this map alone, has sort of just shown what he can do in these big situations, because it's not just sort of having these sort of, you know, he's not doing it on a league night, he's not doing it on a quieter night, he's doing it as a young gun on the biggest stage in the world of a team with, rightfully or wrongfully, a lot of pressure on it based on the accreditation of the team itself, and here you are able to pull 2-round clutches out. One of 4K1, the combination there, the C4, and then the movement round on the back end to go where you weren't being watched. It is just such a boon, and the reason G2 is still in this game.
It is. He kept them alive twice, and he probably won't stop anytime soon.
Alamau needs 3 more kills if he's to live up to what Fabian requested.
Yeah, I mean,
you missed it at the very start, especially if you came over from A. Fabian's word was you have to get 15 kills. We didn't get the full read, but Alamau did not have a good first map, so I think that was...
It's probably just to make up for it.
Yeah, just to make up for it, and then they maybe wouldn't mock him for the first map. Either way, 7-6. Maybe if we can get ourselves over into this third map, then Fabian won't mock anybody. That's a lie, of course he will.
That's a lie.
That's a lie. G2, they got to see if they can try and pinch their attack here to the top. We will go, but we'll start from the bottom. Will it be a hunt onto Bibu as they have opened before?
Yes, I mean, there's a drone looking right at the head.
Look at that. You can see the calls.
He's dead. There's no surviving this. If he gets away with one kill, actually, Shinka on the cover.
Oh, they're from above! It was a bait! They laid the French trap of Bibu holding in a corner. Mowgli finds Benja as well. Oh, they knew!
It was a ruse.
It was a ruse all along. It's like a human alibi. They've fallen right for it. The cover was there. They waited and put the perfect bait. But here, with 2 opening bodies gone, they lose the calls that haven't already been used. The Capitao. Alamau does find Rise with the grenade, so it might be a little bit better coverage in terms of confidence moving behind it, but they don't really have the smokes anymore, so they don't have anything to stop against the Warden's blind. It's going to have to turn into a bit of a brawl, maybe some placement. Shinka suffers next. Pull themselves out a little bit further away, and they're just trying to evaluate if they can maybe get one more loose player.
Bottom floor now has been completely abandoned. The entirety of Wolves have gone up, but as Virtue finds Mowgli, suddenly that ruse that they laid turned back into a 2-on-2. 2 separate opportunities given to get us back to even numbers.
50 seconds. They've been able to pull a couple of the players out, but you've still got P4 who's having a terrifying game and has always been a terrifying problem. So, what do you do? Where do you watch? And how do you approach? Virtue can cover some of the angles. They also have dead players to watch the cams, the movement of the Talon shield, the focus. Shinka a little bit too late to put some bullets back, but look at the time. They can fall back at this point. The pressure is still on G2. They're probably going to see if they can tuck the Talon shield, so Bibu moves closer. A little spot in the corner of an angle, and Alamau is going to the opposite end. Where do you deploy the shield? You've got to do it soon. Bibu can't quite get the full shots, but they can move in. There's Bibu getting the freebie on the swing, the cover on the player on the plant. They're able to hop on the top, and we are going all the way for the second time.
But then I tell you, this might just become a series that goes to 45 rounds. And you know that happens after you play each other for 12 rounds, 50 maps in a row over 3 days. I mean, there's literally nothing hidden between these two except for the little trap, the bait we just saw happen in this round. Beautifully laid out. They realized what happened the last time they had a player down there. He was isolated quickly, was taken down. It was a free kill. Quickly, the pressure came on from G2. So what do? Set up some vertical angles. You start covering around the player. You act like you might have not seen the drone. I don't know if they actually did see the drone or might have not have. I don't know. Either way, it worked out perfectly for them. And that leaves us at this point where it's a coin flip. Map 3, or it is a Wolves victory, defying all the odds. Really being the Underwolves. As they were made out to be. It is a G2 defense coming through. It is going to be a bar and cocktail and quickly going back. They've won it in round 1 and they've won it in round 4. So
100% success rate.
Exactly.
It's that sort of thing right now. They didn't bring it out as the first swing. They went kitchen instead. Maybe to sort of throw off the idea that we're going to bar, or maybe for this exact situation that we can win our kitchen, even though it's been a little bit back and forth before. And then we can just play ourselves onto this, onto bar. We can end the game knowing that we have the mental safety of going, we can play our bar. And as Alamau put it before, if you missed it at the very start, Doki was on the roam, having a good time, and then they sort of played away and moved it. They've changed the strategy this time. No mirror window, or no mirror setup that was the lead-in before.
It's the Azami setup they were talking about before, so Benja is going to be the key point now of holding onto Piano by using those keeper barriers outside of melee range, which means explosive need to be used to get rid of them. As Doki's still going strong on that roam. Wolves is just going for a bit of a rotate. It seems like they're going to be putting quite some pressure down onto that Piano, and that means that with 2 players here, G2 might just have them here.
This is it, and Doki, he's got the impact, but it's being closely watched on the corner. You have to time this and risk it perfectly and hope they're repelling on the opposite side, the white window, and that will be the call from Rise, who's now just lifted up. You see Doki go back, but they're watching. P4 is waiting for exactly that. Benja gets P4 as the trade out, pops up the window and shoots back down, but suffers quite a lot because of it. Rebuilds on the watch on the opposite end. He's still alive. He's not for very long, though. The grenades bounce around. A lot of utility dedicated, but you had to. That was the idea of the play. We saw how much was dedicated from the Aruni and the Azami for just that specific location. It's theirs now, and the rotate from Wolves can come out. They can start putting the pressure elsewhere. They can peel some of their players. They have the man advantage. They have a lot of time. Do they have this series?
That's going to be the big question here. C4s are being tossed out. There's no more denial from range. All G2 have is going to be their guns and 60 seconds to hold on to against the 4 Wolves coming right at them here. Virtue, he fires a couple of shots, but he's not quite able to connect as of yet. As Alamau is going a bit aggressive, he wants to be swinging it from the piano to potentially go for a strike on the side.
He gets the call that the window's clear, but he sprays a bit, and that kind of says it right back. How much do you risk here? There is enough. Blur has been pinpoint throughout this series for G2, and he puts us back in the 3 versus 3, even hand, even game. A split push rise on the far end, a bit of a rotation, and a struggle with the drone, and oh, it's maybe the tensest moment that you got to try and get those rolled through. That will give a bit of the game. Mowgli's trying to find out the piece. They've put the pressure from the new hatch. They've slipped their way through. Alamau gets one. They're able to get the trade back in, but now with one needing to plant, rises to swing in. Pre-fires, gets it and Wolves! They will move across the upper bracket. They will keep themselves fighting, and G2 will fall down to the lower bracket at the vicious bite of the Wolves.
They might have won 15 maps in scrims, but that doesn't matter if you don't win it here today. 30 rounds, 2 maps, all the way to 15.
And there's an energy in the players and a joy in the French camp, and unfortunately not the same on the side of G2. Their run isn't over. It never really is with G2, and that's the problem right now, is they got to see what they can piece together. They chose this matchup, they chose this game. They have unfortunately been the deciders of their own fate, and now they got to see if they can rewrite it moving forward.
G2 will be done for today. They will be coming back tomorrow for that lower bracket run. Wolves, however, after just playing 30 rounds of this, are going to have to go back just later, trying to see if they can continue that upper bracket as well.
That's the part. That's the problem right now for Wolves, is their day isn't done. Obviously, they're in this situation because of how groups went, but for my money, that was a different Wolves to the Wolves that we've had in the groups. Their competitor later will be Lawson 1. And that's the sort of statement here, is how do you go from somebody you know very well to somebody that maybe you know the least of any other team in this tournament?
Well, definitely carry along the momentum they have been bringing so far, because that truly helped. As soon as the energy hit Wolves, there was almost no stopping them anymore. I'm excited for that matchup to be coming through. Wolves, they have surprised many. Let's see how far they can make it.
Well, we'll throw to a quick break before we're back with the desk.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Welcome back, friends, to the Command Center. Can you believe it? Wolves taking down G2 Esports, a massive EU v EU clash. It was G2's team pick and still unable to bring down their opponents from the EU League. We are joined for yet another interview today, our second one of Six Invitational. Rise, I guess, head of the Wolves, the head of the pack, how do you call it? One pack?
Yeah, the one pack, I mean,
I'm
just the captain of the team, right? I mean, there's no, I'm just a wolf being...
Wolfing around.
From the pack, that's it. Yeah, wolfing around, yeah.
Exactly.
Making owls.
And that was mostly Bibu, though, looking at the game. But we have Demo and Extra Turka, of course, here with us to continue on. Gentlemen, have any questions for our wonderful guest, Valentin?
Yeah, I'll kick things off. I wanted to ask, I mean, it seems like quite a deep question to go into straight away personally, but how big was the win against Liquid? Because obviously, you didn't have the best time in the groups. You beat Direwolves, but everybody else did. You got that big overtime clutch against Liquid in map 3. This game felt a little bit similar in some of those ways, but how big was that for the confidence coming into today?
I think, to be honest, like since even the event, even before SI, the objective was to reach a winner bracket, so Liquid was like, the Liquid game was important in that way, right? It was also important considering how poorly we played in the groups, in the early matches, to, well, get back some confidence. We had that with Direwolves, even though, like, I know, like, everybody beat them and stuff. It's still like the win that we needed to actually trust ourselves on the next one. So every win is important, and it started with Direwolves. Liquid was just like the concrete answer to, okay, now we can actually like play as we do as usual and win, like overcome any situation against any team.
Is that the best win you think you guys have had as a team since you came together a year ago?
Well, it depends. I think the performance right now is decent. I think we need more to actually like reassure ourselves about our team play, like our level of gameplay, for the simple reason that it's been a year that we've been together, so we are expecting high results, and like it's not like we just like started playing last stage, right? So we need better than that, I think. So we still need better than that.
It took a moment to warm up, but P4 really got into it on map 2. How do you, because you have young players on the squad versus you and Bibu who have way more experience, how do you warm them up and keep them always, on their toes in a game as important as G2?
Well, it's it's always difficult to prepare the mindset of a player, because it's really like, it comes really to the individual. So by the time we know each other, we know what kind of stuff to say to each other, how they feel, how we want them to feel at that moment, right? So it's just like we're just helping each other on that point. I think we are a team who works a lot on the hype at the moment, and well, P4 is actually like an amazing shot caller. So even if he really showed up today on the scoreboard, I can assure you that he was like a super element, like a main element in the team in the previous games as well, because he gave like so many solutions. So I don't really need to pump up P4 just because of that. He's naturally like that. But yeah, it's a team spirit, and we try to like make it work every day.
Next step in 3.5 hours, you play against Lost One. How do you feel about that game? Anything that scares you?
I don't think so. I think we like LATAM styles. We do, actually, like for real. I believe actually G2 was playing kind of a LATAM style.
Agreed, yeah.
A bit of a Fred LATAM style, if I can say, because like we also took the opportunity for that. So I think if we do the same against the Lost One that we did against G2, I think it can work. Like, I'm really confident in that game.
All right, anything you'd like to say to Lost One before that game?
We're coming for you now.
There you go. Thank you very much, Rise, for joining us on the Endless Test Command Center, our second interview for today. We're going to keep them coming as the day continues. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's continue with our post-game analysis, starting off with map 1 in the series. Went to Chalet. Ollie, your thoughts?
Chalet, this was, I think for me, looking back at it now, it really spelled out how the series was going to go. Very hard fought. Not much separating either of these two teams. In both maps, they actually achieved the same attacker-defense split in regulation time. These maps were extremely... we were expecting no less. Let's be honest, these two teams play inside of EUL. They know each other very well, and we were expecting that sort of a competition. For me, one of the players that stood out head and shoulders above the rest in the series and on Chalet was Mowgli. I think it's a great map for a player that has the play style of Mowgli. It suits his ability to rat out in a corner here or there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And he did really well at that.
I think for Chalet, it's always going to be one of those maps that I think every team in EU is going to be comfortable with. We've seen that. I think EU very, very happy in that map to play it. And I think it does come down to gun skill a lot of the time for Chalet. I don't think it's the heaviest in terms of strategic. I think it's been the same for about the past 2 years. It's been the same strategy style. So it is about who shows up in the day. And if Mowgli starts off well, we know he finishes well.
The thing with Chalet is, as we know, the executes are fairly straightforward. They're fairly basic, and these teams can perform that, and you can do that at the same time as having big explosive plays. That's kind of what we saw on Chalet.
Well, that was Chalet map 1. Demo, you want to talk to us about something on the map?
Yeah, I seen something that I got a good buzz off, which, you know, I'm a bit of I'm a weird guy whenever it comes to Siege, because I look at the little things, okay? So we're going to be looking at overtime. This is the first round we had in overtime, in round number 13, and it's something so minute, but it's brilliant the way it's worked. And it's going to be highlighting how good Echo can be whenever you're put in a matchup where you are looking to go for their own game, which is something that Wolves were really, really active on. So we'll let it run for a bit. So there's going to be probably 3 things that we point out. First one's going to be Benja. Look where he is. He's down in towards Bar. He's obviously played a fantastic series. He's going to be down there on the Ash, hunting for the kills. Second thing then that we need to watch out for, it's going to be this guy right here, Alamau. He is on the Dokkaebi. If you don't know, Dokkaebi, her gadget is she can emit, a phone call to all of the defenders, and then you're going to have that emission of sound, and that helps you, of course, find where the roamers are. That was the go-to idea for G2. They seen they were struggling in terms of hunting the roamers. Okay, let's bring Dokkaebi, let's bring it in, give us a hand. But this is brilliant, and you probably didn't think of it at the time, but I definitely seen it. Benja's in Bar, but he has a friend. It's called a yokai drone. Whenever you get hit by the sonic burst, you will be disorientated, which he is right now. You can see the screen moving, and not only does your screen shake, it also, you don't hear anything. All you hear is just a big blast of sound. That is going to mask the sound of the Dokkaebi call. Look where the roamer is. He's right there, right beside him, inside the stock. You should be hearing it. At this stage, Benja should hear him, but he can't. He cannot hear him because he's stunned. He can't do anything. And I was thinking, okay, maybe they do know he's there. It kind of looked as if Benja was approaching as if he knew. But then I see this. Look at Benja's body shape. Look at the body shape. He's not looking to try and hold on the connector door. He's looking over here. He's looking to push in towards kitchen. I don't think they knew that there was a guy inside of Billards. And the reason why is he was stunned. They didn't hear the Dokkaebi call didn't work. There we go. He slips away still. Look how long that stun was. They should have heard him ages ago, but they just couldn't. And as we know then at this stage, again, for Wolves, they played it so well with the Echo using the roamers. I mean, look at this down here. What do you see? Look, another stun. Another stun comes in. There he is. He's on the floor. He's on the carpet. They're still pestering him. They're still not giving G2 any breathing room. And then in we go, and all it takes is that first kill on Chalet. Easy as you like for Mowgli. Got away with it, but the support from Echo is second to none. Phenomenal, just little tidbit. Just a little tidbit. That's it.
Thank you very much, Demo. That's our telestration segment for map 1. We turn our attention to map 2 in our series, and that really went the distance. At some point, we're thinking, okay, Wolves have this under lock and key, but G2 came back. A beautiful clutch from Virtue, by the way, on Bakery that saved the day. 8-7 was the scoreline. Ollie, your thoughts?
One of the big problems in this one for G2 was certainly that opening pick. If we look at that second map of Kafe, it's a Chalet there, nearly caught me off guard. Something that we sort of commented on and brought up in the pre-game, Milosh, is that we felt like Wolves were losing a lot of engagements. We felt like they were really struggling to compete in the gunfight, in the gun skill department and winning those engagements. And that's going to come if you have a bit of a ropey group stage. But something that was there at full force today was those engagements, and it was the gun skill from Wolves. They did such a great job. Kafe is a map that it relies so heavily on that entry. It relies so heavily on being able to go out there and effectively win those gunfights, and so much comes down to tiny details. Very exciting game. Lots of plant-focused siege as well, which is always nice to see, as we do know that Kafe is more of a retake sort of orientated map.
Yeah, I think Kafe, like Ollie said, gun skill is kind of where it's very strange to see both of these teams just go at it. There's not a lot of strategy involved. It's just who is going to show up on the day. Ollie mentioned before that we thought Wolves were a little bit slow in terms of everyone but Mowgli was struggling to win gunfights. Today, everyone stepped up, which is the difference, and that's just what it takes. Doesn't matter how you've played in the past. It all depends on how you show up on the day, and that is so true for Wolves here today. I think it's a massive win for them. I think the confidence it's out the building now. That's how massive it is for these guys to get this win.
Well, you could see how much confidence they had. BB was extremely loud.
I was sitting in the back.
Some of the timeouts that were taken by G2. Fabian's coming in, and Fabian isn't bringing an immense amount of energy. He's just giving very controlled, calm, sort of
positive, very positive,
very encouraging. And at the end, you know, it's like, let's get the energy up. Come on, we can do this. And that's great. That's what you need out of a timeout. But when you've got Bibu screaming his head off on the other side of the curtain, and that's all you can hear, it's no wonder that Wolves had that energy and had that confidence. As we can see there, we can see P4 at the top. Again, hasn't had the best time in groups, but it really doesn't matter because he showed up today.
Every single player from Wolves is above 10 kills. I don't think I've ever seen that.
No.
Have you ever seen a match where every single player is above double digits?
Especially not Wolves.
Is that, we might need to get that checked, but that might be a first. For me anyway. So that's incredible. That sums it up for Wolves. Everyone stepped up today when it mattered.
Very well done. Wolves Esports breaking down G2. We all thought that G2 had the upper hand, that they played so well in the groups, and they did 100%. But going to this, maybe overconfidence was the key, and Wolves were able to capitalize on their opponents' overconfidence. Maybe cockiness sometimes. It happens, especially in big tournaments. The biggest one of them all here, of course, the World Championship at 6 Invitational. Though, here's our update for the bracket now. The top side of it, the two first sets of games are done. OXG have defeated Heroic, and they move on after 2-0 against M&M. That'll be in just a few hours from now, 3 or so. G2 versus Wolves, that ended with a Wolf victory. They'll be playing against Lost One. Wolves, that is. G2 and Heroic both drop down to the lower bracket, and Heroic will be playing Space Station. As for G2, they'll be going up against FaZe